planted. Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
Nice.
איזה שחקן אתה.
Wait, please.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
Nice.
Good job.
GG.
Nice.
Time,
Go.
My camera is destroyed. Cage trick careful now. 3 out of 4.
One enemy remaining.
Nice.
Everyone hiding.
Nice.
Knocked him.
What's CT now?
I'm out of stuff.
Viper.
Look at that.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
That's brave. You will not kill my ally.
Shot.
Hawk out.
One enemy remaining.
Forward down.
Nice outplay.
Last player standing.
Natural up.
One enemy remaining.
My ult's ready. Fight.
Last player standing.
Sleep tight. Hawk out. Blinded. Hawk out. Blinded.
One enemy remaining.
Great.
Dude, good job.
Spike planted. Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
איזה שחקן אתה.
Wait, please.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
Nice.
Good job.
GG.
בחיים אני הולך.
Nice.
Time,
Go.
Call me when I am strong, not when I am big. 'Cause I stumble
My camera is
over
destroyed.
it.
Cage trick careful now.
I missed
3
you
out of 4.
yesterday.
One enemy remaining.
This is not your way. No more playing games.
Nice.
Breaking all the chains. Can't stay the same.
Knocked him.
What's CT now?
From my life,
I'm out of
don't
stuff.
call me sugar. Don't touch the fire.
Look at that.
Don't give me drama.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
That's brave. You will not kill my ally.
Shot.
She gonna need daddy. Big
Hawk
daddy.
out.
One enemy remaining.
Sugar. Don't touch the fire. Don't give me drama.
Nice outplay.
Last player standing.
Natural up.
One enemy remaining.
My ult's ready. Fight.
Last player standing.
Sleep tight.
Dude, good job.
Spike planted. Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
שבת שלום לכולם חברים. שבת שקטה תהיה לכולם. בטוויץ' עופר אבנר. יש לנו היום משחקים חשמל, משהו באמת.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at the picks and bans and see which three maps we are going to. Of course, we have the two bans coming out and then two more.
עכשיו תגידו לי אם שומעים טוב, אם רואים טוב.
Haven
שנדע כמה להגביר לכם.
Of course, as you expected. We're going to
את מי מעודדים?
freeze and bind.
את סקרים, נראה לי, לא? כן, את סקרים.
Like you guys suggested that you expected, but
אייסבוקס אני אוהב.
Team Liquid banned this map.
This was a map that was what, unbeaten in Champions? Like they beat Cloud9, who looked spectacular on that map, but also it's kind of a trash map for Gambit if you're looking at like previous. I think they lost every game at Champions on this map. They were trying no duelist compositions. They were just struggling to find a rhythm and a rhyme. So the fact that Liquid didn't want to play Ascent against Gambit either means that their Ascent Team Liquid
Gambit
isn't as good as it used to be.
Liquid,
the Forge making their Ascent as strong as they are. Breeze is an interesting one too as well because Liquid, we only saw it once. They won in overtime against Sentinels and it didn't look that straightforward, but lots of points for Yampi especially.
We're talking about compositions. I expect something different for at least the two first maps. Not surprised that the Haven is out. Really surprised, as we were saying, that Ascent is not going to be in. You know, as you mentioned, Gambit not looking strong at all. 3 maps, 3 losses, all 3, the 13 to 7. Different things and not working, but of course, these teams have some kind of information that we don't know.
Yeah.
Of course, they haven't been cracking each other, but, you know, the kind of information that, you know, goes around teams. Really excited to, as I said, those first 2 maps and about bind. I don't know what to think because I expect some changes. Also talked about how Gambit were not looking the finest with the composition, especially by the end of the year. So I think I'm pretty happy with the map select.
I'm a little bit concerned because had that been Ascent third map, I feel like the playing field is in Team Liquid's favor. But then it being bind though, Kakuka, how much does that level the playing field for Gambit?
I think like, this has to be a series of goals.
Yeah, I'm already
talking about חבר מועדון אח שלי היקר, ברוך הבא, שבת שלום חבר. תספימו אהבה בצ'אט, תשימו טיפה לעבוד בצ'אט את שטף שלנו, תודה רבה אח יקר על החבר מועדון, אוהב אותך המון.
I want to see if they're going to keep playing that double controller onto bind. We've seen, you know, some teams moving on to the Sentinel back, so as again, for me, is surprises and of course revenge.
Icebox Breeze is just the option. A little bit of chamber now and again. Like Icebox, we all know, really boring when it comes to compositions, but we are starting to see a bit more spice. Not only with the Reyna being swapped out for the Killjoy, being swapped out for the chamber, but also like TSM will run in Reyna and chamber, which I think would be a composition that would naturally suit. I know I'm saying TSM made this composition, but I do think there's a lot of merit to it, especially when you have a player like
I also want to say that I would like to see teams moving over the VSS, Vipers.
זה מה שטוב נו ליקס, אבל גם
מה, את הריינה שלך?
מתמיד.
או את הסקין, את הסקין.
וזה משחק קבוצתי. זה הכל. בלי שאלה.
שלום, תורד דור, שבת שלום אח שלי יקר, שבת שלום שותף שלי.
Yeah, you've coined it. Well, let's talk about Icebox a little bit more for these two teams. You know, Ryan, talk me through kind of the win conditions for both teams and how you expect for it to play out.
I don't know. We saw Team Liquid play this once. That was in the Volgrad tournament against 10-Star, which they won.
Yeah.
But the whole point of that like Red Bull tournament was
וואלה, התגעגעתי אליכם, שד, לאמא שלי, התגעגעתי אליכם.
זה כאילו קומפרגיל של אייסבוקס עם
even from that context, but also it was 4 months ago now at this point. So we haven't seen it in a while. Gambit, this is the map that lost the champion. They were ahead against Ascend. They were looking really good. It went to overtime, and they were the ones.
מעיקר, אני מקווה שליקוויד. מאוד מקווה שליקוויד.
נהיה פה מטה כזה.
I think at that point Gambit would boom. So this is a great chance to really bring it back, and if they've chosen it, they better be good at it.
This is also the map
בית הפוזים, וואלה, אני לא כזה אוהב בית הפוזים.
So
החנאית שלו מדהים פה. יש פה מלא
אני בחור לשוקולד, אני צריכה להבין, אני בחור לשוקולד.
למיד נייף בייסט בביסט בתוך הסייט.
וואו, טוב, כן.
תדמיין שאתה תוקף A-סייט באייסבוקס ואתה שם את הנייף בתוך הנסט, כאילו. לפלור למעלה, אי אפשר לשבור את זה, הנייף משיג הכל.
תגידו צ'אט, שומעים טוב? או שלהגביר טיפה, להנמיך?
נגיד שאתה תוקף בי, מה שאתה יכול לעשות, אתה יכול לזרוק כאילו הג'ט נכנס ליאלו, ואתה שם כאילו פרופיל של הסיטי, ואז הג'ט שם הדש בתוך הסנורמל, הבנת? וזה קל רצח.
No jet! No jet! There is not a jet on Team Liquid's Icebox. What is going on?
למה אין ג'ט?
Before we came onto here, you know my prediction is that Jump is going to be playing on the chamber.
No,
Speed is going to
it's
go
a
on the
liquid.
jet because we saw all
אתה עם
the
סקרים, אתה לא צריך
ג'אמפ על צ'מבר, הכי כאב אתה עם סקרים.
but they have decided to play.
יש לך שחקן כמו סקרים, אתה...
למרות שבאייסבוקס, אני לא יודע כמה צריך ג'ט, לא צריך ג'ט דש לסייט, כאילו.
We asked for changes, guys. Are
כן,
you
אבל
זה מרסים צ'מבר.
This is just map one.
Shados on the KO is something that I wanted to see just ban on different maps. I think for me is the competition for Team Liquid. It looks a bit odd, but I think it's going to play the same way that Yampy's going to be in that same position as the Jet would be, especially with the operator. The fact that you have a Chamber and Reyna
וואלה, אנחנו הולכים סקרים ריינה, אנחנו הולכים להיות משחק טוב, רק סקרים ריינה.
a lot of aggression on the defense. It's going to make hitting the ace
כאילו יש שי יודע, אבל זה נבע. פר פה, היה עושה סקרים במקום דפו איזה תקופה, כי דפו עדיין היה בחופשה אחרי צ'מפיונס.
Not a lot of changes, you know, and we know that Nats can almost do anything. But I'm surprised, happy as I said, so really looking forward to how this chamber is going to be actually kind of a double duelist for Liquid.
Well, this is the grudge match to end all grudge matches with some new compositions on Icebox. Who would have thought? But here are two familiar faces to take you guys through map one. It's Mitchman and Tombiz.
Thank you so much, Yinsu. Tom, I am excited to be here, man. Kicking off challengers with, I mean, quite an exciting day, it has to be said. Liquid Gambit, and already the agent select has not failed to disappoint.
Yeah, not disappointed. I think that going into this, well, the desk have said it a lot, and everybody already knew that this was very likely to be a chamber pick coming in at points for Liquid, because it is an agent that was basically made for them. It was designed for Team Liquid to use, but yeah, Nat's going on to Sage, an agent he's only ever played twice. I don't think anybody predicted that coming into the day, unless they'd already played against Gambit or for Gambit. So that's going to be a little bit interesting. I do think it's going to be fun, though, seeing how, if anything, the Liquid Sage probably will play more of a part now that you have all of those traps available to put in different positions, and you don't just have to wall the tube every round.
It's going to be a lot of fun looking at at how these comps are going to work, thinking about that KO, adding in no jet, Yumpy. Anytime I get to see this man playing on a new agent, I am happy, because it's going to show us some things that maybe we're not ready for. Now, sure, look, Chamber's utility is going to be a little bit more two-dimensional than what we're seeing from some other agents. I don't think he's going to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. But with that pistol in hand, the idea that every single round has the ability to one-tap headshot you across the map. I mean, but
no, it really isn't much better. If that's your argument in any scenario, at least it's not screen. It's still going to be very difficult, but yeah, I'm interested to see like the no jet comp. The thing I will say is like Scream on Arena, so if you're worried about like the entry potential, it's definitely not going to be there. And also bringing in a KO as well. It's a lot of added info that's going to be available to Gambit in a lot of these early round scenarios, especially as it's another piece of utility.
We're kicking things off here with Gambit's attack side, already well underway here in the pistol. We've seen a little bit of posturing from both teams, but no full commitments just yet with a minute 20 left on the clock. This pistol is going to be taken slowly, and that shouldn't come as a surprise when you think about the fact that this is Gambit's attack side. This team is known for leaving it to the last second. On in the slow defaults that have destroyed the majority of teams on the world scene, so this is going to be a task for Liquid for sure.
It has also destroyed themselves. Let's put that into perspective as well. They are known as one of the best defensive teams ever for a reason, but has got off to a flying start. The classic wall to get themselves an afterplant, and now the rotation has to come in here from Liquid, and honestly, the fallback's already there. We haven't seen the changes on Icebox that are rumored just yet, so this retake is going to be rough.
This is going to be a hard one to get back into. Time obviously being an issue. They still have a wall online, though. They've lost Navera as they attempt to walk on in and look at these side angles available, playing around the back of yellow. I mean, this is looking like a clean round. Nats was still stuck on the site. Now the wall goes down, but it's going to be broken in just a moment. Used already. And Redgar has actually nicely to close that round out. That's one way to do it. You can't have a knife round in round one of the VCT. That's not... Welcome to EMEA. We're kicking off day one here, and this is what we've got for you already.
Technical pause. A mouse has just been thrown at a wall.
I've technically just broken my mouse.
Yeah, I need a little pause in
here. I wouldn't blame you. Great start to this map. The pistol going their way.
חברים, כל מי שכאן ועוד לא שם לייק, עוד לא שם סאב, תשימו, זה מאוד מאוד עוזר. אתם כבר פה, תשימו לייק, תשימו סאב. וואלה, אני טוב, ברוך השם, האמת, אני טוב.
I actually can't believe that we've had a knife in round one. It's just so utterly ridiculous, but hey, it's gonna be an exciting one. Just in case.
איזה כיף ככה שבאמת נצפות אחרי כל הקומפלימנט.
וואלה, אחרי כל הקומפלימנט, אחי, זה מה שבא לעשות, באמת.
Yeah, no, not a lot to take away.
I think
שימו לב, מבחינת איך טימפלי עובד אצל גמביט, כי בתכלס יותר טוב לראות את זה מפק מהסנט, אבל שיראו את זה כאן.
לייב היום בערב, וואלה, אני לא יודע אם אתם משחק אותו לייב. בא לי לראות את המשחקים, יש היום גם פנאטיק G2. לא יודע אם נראה הכל, אבל אני לא בטוח שלייב.
רגע, נאצל סייג' כאילו בתכלס כל נקרא לו פלקספלד, יכול לשחק מה שהוא רוצה, כאילו מה שצריכה ממנו. כנראה שגמביט הבינו חזק מדי שיעשו להם אנטי-סטרקט ושהבינו לגמרי איך נצטרך לשחק. אז הם אמרו, אם אנחנו כבר לא משחקים את הפייסטייל של נאנס, בוא נעביר אותו לאג'נט אחר אולי.
I feel like he can still do most of what you expect
מה עם ה-NA?
כאילו,
מה עם NV שנתינל שקול קבוצות האלה?
When you think about how Sage is often going to be used, you really want him for pushing into the side, which is a very different vibe than what we're used to seeing Nats be like around lurks through middle and catching players off guard. You can do it,
השחקן הדוב בזה פתח לייב, שבת שלום מהדף
אני חושב שרוקלטס פשוט קנו את NV ולורנט. קנו את הכל הזה.
התחיל ראונד ראשון, אבל יש להם בעיות בלייב, אז הם מסדרים את זה עכשיו. מחכים שיסרו אותם בעיות של הלייב.
The thing that I said, though, coming in, I think it was into one of the Masters events, and certainly into Champions, was Nats is a known quantity now. When you come up against him, you know what to expect. No one sat there going, oh, Nats has flanked us this round. Everyone knows what's going on. So you have to be realistic. You have to change your game. It has to happen over time so that you're not going to become predictable and readable. And perhaps pulling out together is the way to go about it.
כן, אתה לא שמת לב לזה בכלל, בעצם שפרסנו לאינסייד, קפצתי להוא ששמתי עיניים.
Now let's see what else he's got. I'm sure he's got plenty.
That's almost the thing that made
עד $5 לייק וסאב חברים, תודה רבה עדי, רואה ממון. תקשיבו לו גם, שימו לייק, שימו סאב.
But I feel like my focus almost moved to Chronicle. Like I feel like he had an incredible event. Like rounds some of the quotes are in the trailer recently of just like I don't know how that's happened. There's that ace that he got on with the player pushing behind him and he killed 3 in front of him. It made absolutely no sense. And I feel like almost
יצאתי מולו בקום פעמיים, 2 משחקים הוא אכל העתיד של החיים.
אני אומר לך, הוא לא סרטון שהייתי איתו, כי אני הייתי 10 קילים, הוא סיים 30 ומשהו עם סייפר באקסבוקס.
This technical issue might take a little bit longer than us two can potentially waffle for.
דילים, ככה פה ליקוויד צ'אט אחי. לא גם בטח אחי.
הוא לא אני, כן? אבל לא זה נינג'ה, כן? אבל שחקן.
חזר לנו.
יצאנו להפסקה חבריי.
וואלה, צ'אט, יצא לכם משהו טוב בנייט מרקט? כי אני קיבלתי זבל, קיבלתי רק זבל.
זה מתוק סינט, אחי. זה מתוק כזה. אתה ראית בחיים מתים, היה מביא חיבוק.
מה יצא ב5 דקות לסגר עכשיו?
מה 4 דקות? מה 5 דקות?
אני רוצה לחזר כספי, אחי.
כל הצ'אט, אין סטרים.
את כן, קיבלת סבבה, אני לא קיבלתי כלום אני. רק זבל. יצא לי פורסקן ונדל ב1000 טוב אחי, באמא שלי. הייתי קונה קל. מאוד אחוז זה אחרי קל.
מה אני רואה את הלייב של טנס בינתיים?
אתה יודע, כאילו יצא לי פריים קלאסיק ואין לי קלאסיק. עכשיו השאלה, אם אני קונה את הקלאסיק, או שאני מחכה לגליץ' פופ קלאסיק, במקום הפריים. כי הפריים חרוש טיפה. זה הדבר הכי שיצא לי שסביר כאילו. אהלן סיבן, שבת שלום, שותף. וואלה, ברוך השם, סיבן. טוב, בוא ניתן טיפה טנז עד שיתחיל המשחקים שלנו. גמביט לוקחים 100%, זה האמת, אני גם חושב שגמביט לוקחים, אבל אני פשוט מאוד רוצה את ליקוויד.
120.
חכה לגליץ' פה, נכון? כל כך בא לראות איזה 20 שרים חדשים, וואלה חלום שלי, אבלר. אנחנו גם סוגלים לזה האמת, סוגלים לזה קל אפילו, הייתי אומר. מה הולך איתי? שבת שלום.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got the 10Z.
I thank you Vintage for the sub, and thank you Quinton Marmalade for the sub. And thank you Berto for the sub, thank you Shrew for the sub, thank you Uncle for the sub.
יש לנו פה עוד 2 דקות, סבבה. בסדר, חצי דקות.
Wait, I have one. Pushing the good. 80.
אני מספר, וואלה כרגיל, סיבן.
I got the B player. Come back. I got like really
מרגיש פה פאקס, אני לא כזה אוהב אותה, האמת.
I died to someone who was
לא יודע, לא אהבתי עליה. איך היה שבוע? היה שבוע רגוע, אחי, כרגיל. שבוע טיל. כן, אבל עומר, הפריים קלאסיק חרוש, כאילו. הוא חרוש מוגזם. יש אותו לכולם, כולם השתמשו בו כבר. אז או שאני קונה את הפורסקן קלאסיק שהוא חריף אחוז שרמוטה, או שאני קונה את הגליץ' פופ קלאסיק.
I think he's saying some.
עכשיו, זה השאלה אם אני קונה את הפריים או שאני מחכה. הפורסקן נדיר, נכון? בנייף של הצ'מפיון, וואלה אני משתמש בנייף של הצ'מפיון, בקטנה ובבטל פאס. אני מחליף ביניהם. כמה זמן? דקה וחצי, סיבן. כן, אתה מבין, הוא מפחיד, באמת מפחיד. אני גם אוהב אותו ממש.
Oh my god, there's like 3 backside. They had the squad here. Holy fuck.
יאללה, התחלנו כבר? 30 שניות, סבבה.
Oh, they had all 5 there.
פורסקן הלבן הוא של הקלאסיק מטורף.
They tried neon in scrims at all? That's a secret.
So good at reading. Insane.
Think you computer programmers for the
הפורסקן פעם אחת. איזה פורסקן? הקלאסיק? יש לך את הקלאסיק פורסקן הוא הכי יפה שיש. מה זה הפורסקן? זה פשוט לא במשחק.
Oh no.
זה. באיזה לייב אני של 10, אני מחכה שיחזור. אוי, זה חוזר עכשיו. זה הפורסקן. אחד היפים. יאללה, אמרו להתחיל עכשיו.
Who switched to a more supportive role in April to enable Derka to play to his full potential. We will see Doma starting in the qualifier with 10-star from now on. Guild didn't make it out of this ferocious storm unscathed either. From the original roster, only Leo and Safe remain. Bunker are all no longer on the team. Guild followed the trend of changing their IGL and promptly picked up a new one in the form of Coldamenta to fill the void left by Bunker. He will be joined by Russ from 10-star and Trex from OG. Both finally want to prove themselves by making it into the playoffs with their new team. Yasin and Bonka are returning to their Valorant roots in the meantime, making a quasi-revival of their first team, Team Bonk. This time, however, they are changing the name to Yonk. Joining them are Machina from Vitality, Cretan from Alliance, and upcoming talent. Whether these folks can live up to the high expectations that their link to Team Bonk brings with them or not will be exciting to see. A side note in the roster mania has to be made for Nip, who saw the oncoming snowstorm and decided to retreat to a warmer region. The whole roster was released as the org is moving over to Brazil with the aim of picking up a team there. Contrary to Nip, who escaped south, FPX instead embraced the cold and went even deeper into its midst, joining the CIS region with their latest 2 pickups. They rounded out their existing roster of Angel, Shao, and Zippen with the addition of former Force player Soigetsu, which brings the CIS membership of the team to a majority. They will be joined by Ardis.
תשמע, נשמע שלשחק צ'אט בפרו-פלייר ברמה הגבוהה הכי גבוהה שיש, כאילו זה מה זה קשה, שתדע.
אחד הכיפים אבל, יש לך סופורט מפחיד.
כן, זה כיף, אבל אתה גם אוכל לו עליך, צריך להיות לשחק ממש טוב.
כן, צריך ממש טוב, אבל תחשוב שהסופורט שיש לך מסביב הוא לא רן.
בדיוק, כן, כן, זה גם...
עדיין הוא צודק, זה ממש ממש קשה לשחק
ממש קשה, ברור. עוד שתשמע, שים אותי צ'אט.
It wasn't only Europe and the CIS that got hit.
די יטוס לבאים, וואלה בא לגמרי יטוס לבאים. ביי תאילנד. מה הולך שר? שבת שלום.
אופק סטרמפות אחי. אני מעדיף אותך כזאת ממנו.
סתם לי כפרגן על זה.
סתם לי כפרגן מבטיח.
חומט מה שלך, יש לו ספקטר בראונד השני, זהו אחי, חומט על זה.
לא, לי כי זה הכי היחיד שהוא, יודע.
Glovey and Zisto both made the switch after losing to the old iteration of the team in the LCQ.
גם, אבל איקו פאק בדרך כלל זה טוב לקונפידנס.
קונפידנס ולהאוואר.
After results against the EMEA competition,
כן, תשמע, לג'ט איקו פאק זה משיג הרבה זה.
Footballist also suffered the loss of one of the best
אתה
sentinel
לא
players
מת, כן,
of the
כי אתה זורק לוונדל פתאום
region.
אנלאקי.
Stern will also no longer be representing the team for the coming season. Like SMB did, Footballist also found their replacement on Kafala Esports in the form of Power.
איזה החניקה הזאתי?
לא יודע אחי,
כולה להוריד ביטרייט אחי.
כן, הם בדיוק שתי לחיצות.
בוא נגיד זה טילון? שלב, אמרתי את זה בראש, מה אני אביא טילון? אמרתי לא, לא צריך טילון, עכשיו רשמת את זה. מה אני אביא טילון?
עכשיו נוריד בריקה פחי על כל הווי-סיטי שהיה.
תסביר שלב.
Into the new season with some great weather and more importantly some incredible matches in EMEA to find out if anyone can beat Ascend this season.
מה הסיכויים נראה לכם אסנד לוקחים שוב פעם?
סיכוי גבוה. למה אני לא יודע אם מתאזן מול כל קבוצה.
קודם כל שיתחילו אבל.
לדעתי, זיק וסטארקסו יותר אפילו אימפקט מסינד, שניהם. גם זיק וגם בסטארקסו, לדעתי יותר כאילו... שחקנים אימפקטים מסינד.
שתי בוטים, רק איתם בקומפ היו באותו פאג.
פאקינג קומפ אחי.
אתה מכיר את הסיפור שהייתי קומפ? ניצחנו כמה, 10-3 והייתי נגד סינד. ואז הם ניצחו אותנו איזה 13-11 ועושים 40 קילים, במקום שני היה 13.
אוי נכון, שבת שלום חבר.
אני מלא אחי, רציתי לבכות.
he's going to kill everyone. And like the chances are it's probably not going to be the case. So he's come in as a much more support.
שמע, אמרו 5 דקות הפסקה. כולה להוריד ביטריט, לעשות ריסטארט לסטרים ויאללה, תשחררו אותנו. מה יש לכם? שותפים מי שכאן ועוד לא שם סאב ולייק, שימו סאב ולייק, זה מאוד מאוד עוזר ללייב וזה מקדם אותי. ווואלה, אני אעריך את זה מאוד. שבת שלום סאב. ברלין, וואלה עומר גם ברלין האמת. תן לי לשחק על איזה 5-7 פינק, חלום.
Like, I think there's still a lot of work to be done. We've seen some quieter performances from players like Meadow, for example, in the first qualifier, second qualifier with 2 completely different players. So there's a chance for them to warm up into some of the other teams in the group if they perform to the standard they can.
נהיות זה לחלשים, ילד, ברור.
It's what this week is essentially about. We haven't seen for a while or that have undergone.
בוא'נה, 5 דקות האלה רק הרסו להם את הסטרים עוד יותר.
Getting to see where they're at and what they're doing with the meta. Remember, there's a lot.
למה נצא במשחק? אין לי מושג, יש להם בעיות בלייב. כאילו המשחק עובד באיזה 5 FPS. משהו מוזר.
So for these guys now, it's a real testing ground in terms of.
מגניב והכל אחי, אבל לא מעניין, תתחילו את הסטרים.
And the thing that stuck with me, you know, that really perplexed me in the start of Valorant was G2 dominating for as long as they did. Because it didn't make sense in my brain where I looked at
נראה לי עכשיו עצבני בלובי. מה זה עצבני אבל? הפסידו את הפיסטול, לינק קיבל סכין ויש להם פאוס של איזה רבע שעה. אתה יודע, אם אני שם אני מתחיל להפוך מחשבים.
גם אני, אחי, מה אתה רק רוצה? איך יש לקבל זה, אתה רק רוצה כבר להיכנס כבר ללובי וכבר להתחיל פאקינג ל...
תן לי לסיים רגע את האקו ראונד, בוא נסיים טריפטי שנייה.
That's going to test you massively, and yet we see some of these teams be able to keep up the pace, keep
אני מחזקים להפסיק לראות כבר בבוטים. עכשיו הוא עבר לראות עכשיו בתים איזים. זה שם בבוטקאמפ עכשיו.
כן, ברור.
אז בטח הם מרביזים אחד לשני כרגע.
באמת בבוטקאמפ, יש לך אסקרים בלייב, גם אם זה 50 כאילו באמת, מקים אותך עכשיו בכיסא אתה משחק.
Win a BO3 or win like 4 or 5 BO3s and then don't play for 2 months. You're playing every day or every week at least.
Yeah, I think the main
חלאס, חלאתם דרס, אכלתם.
עדיין לינק, אחד השחקנים.
I don't think we were there yet at Champions. Like, there were some good teams, don't get me wrong, there were some cool ideas, but there was no teams where I was like...
לינק בטיל, מה זה טיל?
אני רואה את לינק יושב בי נגיד עם ספר אחי, אני ראש הקט.
נשחק היום? לא בטוח. לא חושב שנשחק היום, אני מעדיף לראות את המשחקים האלה, כי אולי יש משחקים טובים היום.
לא הבנתי מה הם חופרים על אייג'נטים עכשיו, עזבו את האייג'נטים, תעשו את זה בסוף הסטרים.
יש בעיה אבל. סטרים בשווי של איזה...
I want to see what teams have adapted to it. Is anybody going to be playing Neon? Because like I watched a crew play a little bit.
אחי, אני יכול לשדר את זה קל, מה הבעיה כאילו? שיביאו אותי. אשכרה אחי, מה הבעיה?
וואלה כן, יש שם בוטקאסטים חריפים בגרמניה.
אחי, כל אחד מה-70,000 צופים.
חלום שלך איזה בוטקאסט.
בשביל שי, בשביל הסטרים שלו.
מה זה,
אשכרה,
שמרו
כל
אותי.
אחד כמעט מה-70,000 צופים שיש בו, בלייב של הטוויץ'.
עזוב, לא מעניין, תשדר עכשיו. שי מסטרים, יש לך פה פלטפורמה.
נו.
אבל אמרת שדר.
אני יכול להראות את המסך.
וואי, היה שקט, כאילו עוברים מסך. לא עברו מסך. גמרו אותי.
שלך בית נראה לי.
כן, כן. נפלתי אליו.
יו, אחי, אני מכיר מישהו, ראיתי מישהו שנראה פול כמו לינק. זה כשאני אומר, אני אראה לך רגע.
זה לינק, אחי.
לא, לא.
לא, זה לא מתחיל, יש להם בעיה בסטרים. עוד פעם.
The 2022 VCT is already in full swing. The qualifiers are complete, and the teams have shown that they are hungry for victory.
וואלה, בא לי דק חריף בשעות הקרובות, אז בוא נתחיל לראות את המשחק.
There is a new and reworked format waiting for the
אתה כל 56 פינג, שומע יש לי 70 מינימום, אלעד, 70 מינימום. אתה בוחר על 60? 56, חלום שלי 56.
From February to March, including a group stage and playoffs, and the Masters in April. The Stage 1 Challenges takes place from the 11th of February to the 27th of March. During these 5 weeks, 12 teams from the EMEA region will be fighting it out. 4 of these contenders received a direct invite. The remaining 8 fought their way through the regional qualifiers.
Not the one, but how much more can be found playing with the Vandal now? You maybe get punished, or maybe not! A Volva! With all this raw talent among the participants, how can we work out who are the best of the best? This year, VCT Challenges features a group stage and playoffs. The competitors are split into 2 groups of 6 teams. Over the course of 5 weeks, it's every team for themselves in a single round-robin format. All the games in the group stage will be played as a best of 3. This system is new compared to the 2021 VCT to allow for more consistency and greater excitement. Once the group stage has concluded, the final standings will determine how the journey of each team will continue. The bottom team of each group will be relegated to the VCT Challengers promotion, where they will fight for their right to stay in the VCT, while the top ones will advance to the playoffs. The first place teams will even skip one round thanks to their better seeding. Don't worry, we'll still get to see more than enough amazing plays coming up.
אין להם את סנבר כשחקן ג'ט אחרי נדקי.
אבל אני אומר, יש להם ככה
פוטנציאל
אבל
הסיבים, איזה סיבים? איפה סיבים? חלום של סיבים.
An epic best of 5 is waiting
באיזה מסגרת זה ה-VCT סיב.
to conclude the first stage of the VCT challenges. Besides the prize money, the teams will also earn
בזמנכם בחופשי חבר'ה, יש רק איזה 80,000 אנשים צופים מחכים.
for the VCT champions, the great Valorant World Championship in September.
חברים, כל מי שכאן ועוד לא שם לייק וסאב, שימו לייק וסאב, זה מאוד עוזר וכך בדיוק שנייה. אוהב אתכם המון חברים, שיהיה לכולם שבת שלום. אבל תנו לייק וסאב, תנו לייק וסאב. טריקי. מי שמפסיד אף? לא, נראה לי שיש פה לוזר ברקט, אני חושב. לא נראה לי שמישהו מפסיד אף.
תראה איך מראה. תראה מה שלך.
Find out when stage 1 of the 2022 VCT kicks off on the 11th of February.
וואלה, אני גם לא בטוח סיוון, אבל נראה לי שזה... התחלנו, אמן? עד שתוכלו להפעיל פעמון, אמת.
Open up the sky.
אני חושב שלייב underrated או overrated. לייב לא underrated ולא overrated. לייב שחקן טוב וכולם יודעים שהוא שחקן טוב, אחי.
וואלה, הוא ככה יושב בכיתה שלי.
לייב שחקן ענק, לדעתי.
הוא open up the sky, אחי, אמרה קוסטנה, אחי. מי זה? מה אתה עושה פה?
רעב, וויילד רעב. Imagine את ברימסטון תראית נאו. עוד כמה דקות פה זה דווקא לנו.
3 דקות פה, זה אשכרה.
שזה חתך שם מלא. מסוך שם... אוי, יש גם ג'יטו ופנאטיק. מה זה, פנאטיק וגמביט לוקחים קליל, אה?
תראי, כל השט הכי זורם.
אני אומר גמביט לוקחת ופנאטיק לוקחת.
רגע, שנייה, מה אני רואה פה?
כן, ג'יטו ופנאטיק, אמת, כן, יש משחקים יש. לייב, underrated, למה underrated? כולם יודעים שהוא שחקן טוב, כאילו. זה לא שאומרים מעריכים אותו בתור שחקן סביר והוא שחקן ממש טוב. הוא שחקן ממש טוב ויודעים שהוא ממש טוב. כי הוא בקבוצה קטנה, פיינס לא קבוצה קטנה אבל אחי. פיינס שחק קבוצה. קבל את ההכרה שלו. גם בדבידית שלוקחים אני אומר, וואלה, אני רוצה, אני אגיד לך את האמת, אני רוצה ליקוויד ופנאטיק עוד לא כזה אכפת לי. אבל לדעתי גם בתנצחו, למרות שבא לי ליקוויד. גיל השחקן מטורף, כן, הוא שחקן חשמל. יכול להיות, אתה צודק. יש לו צודק. יאללה, בבקשה, תתחיל לו עכשיו. בדקה הזאת.
וואי. יואו, אחי.
שומע, לינק הולך לסיים 0-20 את המשחק הזה.
מסכן הבחור, אחי.
יואו.
רגע, חכה חצי שעה.
אחי, לינק אחד השחקנים הכי טוב בעולם, עזוב, זה... הוא יבוא עכשיו קריז, אני אומר לך, הוא מסיים טופ פרק למשחק הזה, 25 קילים.
צריך לתמוך בהם, באמת, אחי, באמת.
הם ברימסטון.
מה הולך, דורון?
לא, אני חושב שגמביט לוקחת קליל.
אבל מי אכפת מה אתה חושב? אתה בן 15.
דיבר אליך רב.
אני בעד לתמוך בכל ארגון ישראלי, בכל שחקן ישראלי. אם שחקן ישראלי ארגון ישראלי מגיע למקום מסוים, לדעתי צריך כמה שיותר לתמוך בהם ולנסות להעיף אותם קדימה, כדי שוואלה שיהיו נציגים טובים בישראל. נציגים שוואלה אנחנו אומרים אוקיי, זה אין לי בעיה שייצג אותי שם. לא, זה לא ברור שגם את מנצחים. ממש, תסיבה.
כי הטכנאי קרא לו את הכבל של הוט.
מה אתה מזהה? באמת איזה טרולר. יואו, מה שקרה לך צריך? לא הבנתי למה הוא לא מחובר באמת. שישי הוא לא נפלה בית ספר,
מחבל, אחי.
אתה בא לטכנאי, טרולר, מה אתה עושה?
אחי, מה זה קרה לו תעז?
ליל קיימר, באמת אלא נשמע.
באמת שקראת לי את החוט, אחי.
עושה לך זה מטל פרובלם.
Some small tech issues, but we wanted you guys, we had this little bit of a break, let you guys fill in on the format, and now we're hopefully going to be ready to go to the game in not too long. We'll let you guys know exactly what's happening. We're working on a solution. A little bit of a PC issue. We will keep you updated as we get more information. And I appreciate you guys sticking with us through this. Obviously, it's not ideal, but these are the day one issues. These things happen. And we'll move on forward. But Tom, an exciting series still is ahead of us. And at least this break is happening. I'll always say this. It's happening at the start. It's happening after that pistol, after that knife kill. So we can now kind of come into
לא, אומר, אם הייתי בלובי, סכים מה מפחד.
of the game too much at this stage.
It's given Swiggy an opportunity to break down that round.
Hey, Shite,
I'm excited to see what the headhunter will bring for Yumpy, bringing that into the next round.
האמת, שמע, אני עוד שנייה יוצא עליהם פה בקללות, אחי, בסריות, אני אומר לך, מה זה הדבר הזה?
I'm sure everybody behind the scenes is as frustrated, if not, actually, they're definitely more frustrated than anyone at home right now.
דנס במזמן לא רלוונטי, וואלה, היה לו אופישיאל אחד לא כזה טוב, אחי, אז לא נראה לי שצריך לקבור אותו כבר, אבל בוא נראה בעתיד, אחי, יהיה לו עוד משחקים, הוא לא פרש עדיין. דעתי טנס גם שחקן מטורף, איימר מטורף, וזה שהיה לו משחק אחד רע, משחק 2 רעים זה לא אומר שהוא לא ברמה, זה קורה לכולם, גם לסקרים מהמשחקים רעים, גם לטנס, גם לכולם.
Today's matches, you know, 3 out of 4 of these teams are playoffs of champions. It's absolutely unbelievable. Top 8 in the world, and here they are in the best region. I mean, look, it's exactly what we expect, though, isn't it? A great opening.
No, הוא איימר ממש 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 טוב. ממש טוב. אי אפשר, סקרים אלוהים.
Tom, you know, Icebox as well. I saw that come up in the veto, and we've always talked about it as a kind of repetitive map when it comes to like the same executes in and out. You pick any round, any buy round from Icebox, chances are compare that to another random round.
אבל תמיד יהיו הרבה יותר טובים מ-NA.
Now we're having these changes come through. We're having, as I said, Yumpy, whenever this guy is playing on an agent that I have not seen him play before, especially if it's one only just debuting recently in competitive play, I am going to be very excited. This is the guy that came up with the idea to run down mid on Haven as a killjoy with an op. This guy was just running around on like his 3rd official. This guy is just crazy. I love watching him play the game. I didn't at the time. Let me be very clear. Killjoy thing. I didn't enjoy that. It was new, not in a good way. But he eventually got more comfortable with the game, like he said in the interview earlier on. And now it is a lot of fun to watch how his brain works really. But, you know, as I said, Chamber going to be a lot based around hitting people in the head. That's something Yumpy's pretty good at.
Have you seen what our observers have been doing in the break, by the way?
מה הפעם הראשונה אייסבוקס?
Why are they like thirsting on Twitter? Like I can't believe what I've been witnessing every time I open things up. It's like we've hired two of the best, most professional observers, and then it's just cheap.
מתי מתחיל? היה אמור להתחיל לפני 40 דקות, שלום.
So we have two screens. One is
לפני 40 דקות היה אמור להתחיל.
The other, a lot of the time, is just what they're showing. So I just have a full screen of Viper.
ברוך השם, טוב,
you know what? I've got some great news. There was a moment where we thought we were going to throw things back to the depths to get Kuka, and of course Dwayne, the Pebble Sentinel, back here. But luckily, we're going to be jumping right back into the game.
תודה רבה. תודה רבה, חזרנו.
אנשים שלעולם לא היו, אחי, פתאום מצליחים
We've waited long enough now.
יאללה, זהו, התחלנו, די. הלכתי להביא טילון.
It might not be the exciting round that you want to come back to. You know, maybe a few ults, a few rifles in here. No, it's the second round, you know. Liquid lost the pistol, and unless they're going to force buy, I don't think it's going to be terribly exciting for us.
Yeah, I'd be impressed if they managed to get much done in this round. Of course, one of the things I'm actually interested in with, again, some of the changes we've seen recently, I want to see if the Bulldogs use more. Because, like, again, this is more just my personal preference, but I've been buying it more so after winning the pistol just because it just feels better than it did before, like just in terms of how accurate it is, the ability to actually get the kills. So I think that we might see it a little bit more, especially on maps like this one, where there's a lot of range involved, especially with the defensive side, able to just sit back. And obviously Gambit play every half like a defense, so they're going to sit back and wait for any sort of aggression. So I'm intrigued to see if that gun's going to become a little bit more popular, or maybe if it's just someone like Gambit who are adapting to it, which, hey, if that's the case, then I'm already sold.
Absolutely, and I talked a little bit about, you know, what Gambit we're going to be looking to buy up. There's going to be a small moment while Gambit waits are ready up. They're back and ready to go. Tech issues are gone, don't worry. But the teams then have to confirm, you know, that they're at the keyboards, they're ready to go. So they're warming up their hands right now. They're getting into the swing of things, and well, Tom, things will be kicking off in a moment. And Team Liquid on this defense, they're stacked up on A. Lots of pistols here. You can see there's a couple of sheriffs, so a little bit of an investment, maybe some opportunities. But on a long-range map like this, I'm looking at Yumpy every time for that headhunter.
Yeah, it's basically, to call it a pistol, I think is, well, a piss take, because it's not what it is at all. It's a guardian in your pocket. Like, that's what we're looking at. And
תאמר טוב, עומר, אבל בוא נראה איך זה יעבוד להם, מעניין.
But obviously, with how he plays, how aggressively they need him to be, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm still praying one day we get this Scream Phoenix back, because it's one of the things I enjoy most in this world. Especially now I've seen Deepman's playing it as well more recently. I was like, oh my god, it still works. It still works sometimes, please. But here we go. Right back in. And it is going to be that stack up. And a lot of information already found early from Liquid.
So I mentioned some pistols invested into, but I've seen Scream has decided to go for a Marshall. That hasn't exactly worked out, though. The rifle that was invested into by Defo, only good for the one before he goes down. A little bit of damage for the pistols. If they can find another kill here, that'd be fantastic. A nasty plant spot. Really difficult to do anything about that in a buy round, and even more so when you've only got those pistols to work with.
I feel like that's a wall that at some point we're going to see them mess it up and not be able to plant, and I'm going to giggle quite a lot. Nice shot from Solcast.
I would give you that, right? I would, but it's Nats.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought
that's my point. Yeah. We'll see. Some teams
I didn't say Nats. I said someone.
Oh, okay, right.
Someone in our matchmaking games.
Nice little team ace for us. We're going to save over all the rifles. In fact, the two bulldogs and the phantom coming into this round. So not that much loss that they can drop over some pistols. It is going to lead to some weaknesses here, though, and it's something for Team Liquid to potentially exploit.
I've also just thought that a terrifying prospect of Nats is now going to be the one farming up the res. This is something we used to talk about with Scream when he played Sage. It was just like you had a res every 2 rounds just because of how many kills he was actually getting. So he's actually only a couple away. Probably not going to be the most impactful here, but as you said, having those rifles could be the difference maker. Quite a bit of early information for both teams. And actually, they're going straight under the tube. An early trade is decent, but it's definitely worked out better in this case for Liquid.
Gambit known for their slow plays, but they want to use the faster pace to take advantage of these weaker weapons. Redgar even going for the flank, but he'll be caught as well. With low HP, Defo didn't stand a chance. That is 2-1. Team Liquid answering back convincingly. And I like what Gambit did on that mid push. They go out and they have players ready to counter all of that utility. I mean, for the first 5 to 10 seconds of that round, it was everybody was doing something at all times. They were shooting down the arrow that's coming down through mid. They're popping out their Viper Orb, updrafting, dashing on top, taking all of the angles and applying that pressure to Liquid. But when it came to the crunch inside of the actual haul, there was nothing that they could do. Those duels were dominated.
And actually considering what they had in the last round, it's still a full buy and a Blade Storm available for Defo. So going into this round, it definitely isn't easy pickings. And with Yumpy already gone, a little bit more of an aggressive stance in this round, that is a great start. But an instant trade out with Shock Dart, so not bad.
Not bad at all. But the res is going to come through being online in round 4. As you said, some benefits to Nats being the sage, getting those plants in as well as obviously the kills that we know he's always going to be finding. Back into the 5v4, and Team Liquid have got a lot of players towards this B side, but it's very difficult to hold off against this kind of push. They're going to get a lot of control. They can always be back yellow.
אז רעיון שיש לשחק עם מה שיש לך.
אתה
לא משקיע ברעיון הזה יותר מדי, כי ניצחת אותו זה בונוס. זה כל הקטע של הרעיון. אז לדעתי אין בעיה לעשות את זה. אם יש לך ראונדים שאתה יכול להרשות לעצמך כאילו, אז כן, סבבה לגמרי.
Again, it's always a rough spot to try and get back into these sort of rounds, especially with no flank available. You've got to try and fight this.
פשוט תחשוב איזה פייטים יהיו לך יותר משתלמים. תנסה להגיע למקומות יותר קרובים מאשר פייטים רחוקים נגד ונדל. תנסה להגיע לפייטים שלך יותר נוח. שבת שלום יואב, אחר כך.
Sort of suicide to just run in here. They're going to try the wall play. We saw this in the first round unsuccessfully. But this time, finding a lot more for their trouble. Goes down to just the one player. Shados, he's going to break the wall and take the kill. Running the clock all the way down and guaranteeing that round for Gambit even after his demise. A third round will be found for this attacking side.
Yeah, definitely a little bit closer. And I like the fact this is something I mentioned in the early rounds, or probably about an hour ago now. But it was where if you have yourself a chamber, the Sage Wall can be saved pretty much every round to do something else with it. And that's what Liquid are attempting here, to use it as a counter in those after plans. There's also something, and this is almost a direct call. I want to see if someone can clip this for me. When that shock dart kill came in, did average Jonas say, "That's my shock dart"? Because if he did, then Jonas, you're becoming a little bit too predictable.
You know, I do think when it comes to the hold that Chamber has, countering that out when it comes to the next couple weeks is going to become so much more common. Cypher was used in North America for a long time by some teams to replace the Sage or to have her free roaming in very early days. But the problem was always that, you know, that, Yumpy. That is a nasty shot, and it's the escapism as well. One tap, and he's out of there. Now, rocking around with an operator to play with, although moving towards the wrong side of the map. It is that Gambit are at least gravitating towards for now.
With
a rifle, potential Empress if he wants it as well, and pretty much all of his utility online. So although it's open in one sense, the other sense is the scream factor. But they have already tagged him up, forced him back. If he does decide to pop, it will be completely useless. Forcing him out of the corner with the fragment. A wonderful little cross, but the trades come back in thick and fast. As said, Scream's still here. And now, in a 4 versus 2 situation, this looks rough for Gambit.
Not the easiest. Even getting out of here is going to be tough for Redguard. There's so many players up close, and it just turns into a fight. Scrambling to try and grab these kills. Shados will be left alone. They're pushing him one at a time. The opportunity's given, but Team Liquid close it out in the end. Close.
I know that this is something that I've seen people do in CS, but there's like analysis of like where players have their crosshair placed and how much they have to correct their aim. Because I feel like Shados, it's got to be such a small margin, because every single time he took one of those fights, it looked like it was spot on. Like, he barely even had to move just with how he was predicting where players were going to be. Even still, though, that was not a big investment in that round. Like, that was, I think, a solo rifle alongside some pistols. The tour de force that was eventually by Yumpy, but yeah, they've done well in that round, managing to turn it back. We still expect this map to lean fairly heavily in towards the attacking side with minute changes other than what's being played by the agent. So for Liquid to get a couple of rounds on the board early and destroy the economy of Gambit is a very good sign.
It's going to be a fast round out of Gambit yet again. They love this mid to B play when they're on the lower rifles or weapons this time. The same result will be found though. Team Liquid running all over them, and Yumpy's a good amount of the way towards the ultimate again. 3 quick kills in this round. You know what? One of the things I'm saying when it comes to Chamber and holding down these sort of spots with utility, the disadvantage is if they do start to notice where you're putting that util and they start to destroy it, whether it's with their own util or taking that map control in the early stages, it will not guarantee you the control as long as the Sage Wall does, and it won't necessarily be as slowing. If they decide to push through, it'll give you the information, but oftentimes they're just going to keep pushing, right? So there's downsides to it in that sense. Sure, you're gonna potentially get those traps destroyed and whatever, and so a wall might be better in some situations, but you can just one-tap people in the head and then have an op. Like, it's absolutely nuts. And in the hands of Yumpy, I think single-handedly essentially winning them that round with the early mid peak and then closing out that trade on the op. That timing is so good, but Shados is still caught.
All right, if Link's just going to be that clean, they can just leave spots open all of the time. There was a chance that the double kill went back in the other direction as I believe the drone was actually being utilized. Never mind though. Chronicle in a matter of seconds just waltzes into the A site and evens things up once again. Defo's still lurking around mid, trying to cut off the rotations, and well, I guess the main problem is the spike.
Yeah, that is a pretty significant issue right now. Link double killing has secured it, and that is insult to injury, confirming the round essentially. As we see the Viper's pit go down, there's no access through middle. This is going to have to be a push from the A side, and there's only 35 seconds left. I mean, Gambit have to essentially run at them, and with no information to play with, like they have no idea where any of these players are. There's even a res online for Link, but he's not going to get to use it. Taking the fight up against Chronicle and losing it. Now we come down to just Nivera inside his ultimate, and yeah, that Viper's pit hasn't quite reached, but hold on, he's going to reposition, getting right ahead of the ult, but Chronicle luckily is there to convert it and put a fourth on the board for Gambit. A tightly contested round, but in the end, the attackers maintain the lead.
I doubt you've ever seen 2 Viper's pits both put there.
Yeah, not on that spot.
It's a peculiar one, but yeah, I think that was the one sort of thing that made that Viper's pit not as valuable is just the fact they didn't quite cover the spike. If it's in there, Nivera can just sit pretty, watch for anybody to try and enter, and maybe there's a chance they close out that round. Instead, the play he made, it was a good one. Got aggressive outside, tried to defend the spike as much as possible, but all in all, considering that was a 3v5, fantastic recovery for Gambit, but still their economy is on the brink. And now Yumpy's going to bring in an operator to try and defend that B site maybe a little bit more solo.
כי הפלייסטייל של נאץ כבר כמעט כולם יודעים, כולם מכירים.
We've already seen what this man can do.
זה גם די קל לעצור את זה.
In the past on agents like Killjoy. He's not going to have opportunities this time, though. Yet again, we're seeing that site be completely ignored, but the rotations are coming in quickly. And all the ultimates committed by Gambit. Hunter's Fury soaring across either side, but no targets hit. Team Liquid end up in this 3v5. They've given up B control. They still have a lot of control because of those traps down. I mean, Chamber is holding down half of the map, essentially. But at this stage, there's nothing Liquid can really do to be proactive without taking massive risks. They just have to hope Gambit makes some mistakes as they push.
Yeah, they've used the 0 point to know that at least for the moment wasn't anybody on site. Again, we're going to see the same wall, but Yumpy had an opportunity, doesn't quite connect, and they're just being ripped apart. Again, but not a bad read from Liquid. You see where every single player was on that A site, but they haven't got a single kill. In fact, they've barely even done any damage.
אתה פשוט צריך לפרוץ ולהילחם.
זה feel like a very one-sided, a couple of rounds string together. There definitely needs to be some discussion from Team Liquid around this A-hole.
אם הם טיפה מושכים אותך בזמן, ניסה את הראונד.
In these early rounds, and when they've got the rifles as well, and like very early on there, Yumpy was rotating as Chamber. He TP'd after peeking in B long, seeing nothing. He used his TP over towards Kitchen, I think. And so he's holding down mid, which allows you to shift one over to A so much quicker, having essentially a 4-player hold on that A side. And then they lose it to a flawless round from Gambit. It's not ideal.
וסאב ולקש שפגנה המדינה הזאת, בדוק מי לא גם בידי רופא צמוד אחי.
And that's the thing as well, like this A side, one of the toughest side in the game to defend. There's been so many different variations attempted to try and hold on to the site. In fact, one of them from Liquid was to have raised
פייסקאם, אין מקום אחר שפגש את הפייסקאם שהוא לא יפריע, כל מקום יפריע. אז זה הכי פחות מפריע.
with snake bites to just try and deny plants. There's nothing that I think has been consistently successful. That's why most teams, well, they do what Gambit do, which is hold it with an arm.
The attempt is going to be made, but the opening shot landed. Yumpy's forced back. Knight has actually cancelled a lot of these players, including Yumpy, who then cannot escape as Nats quickly decapitates him. The side is not guaranteed. There's still a lot of players here to fight, and Solkas has managed to pick one up through the wall. The side still with 4 players on the back. Look at this, the entire defense is just clumped together, waiting for someone to peek through, and Defo almost made a fateful mistake. They're still committing, they're still moving forward. Gambit are not deterred by hearing numbers. They just see free kills, free ult orbs perhaps. Alenka still putting up a fight, taking at least the one down. The res will be attempted, but that's not great. The orb already gonna tick away. Bunch of screams, health, and will be eliminated in the end, putting it down to the 1v2. Link still holding on, a wall in his possession, and the plan still has to be secured for Gambit. But it doesn't matter in the end with the headshot delivered. It is 6-3.
The thing is as well, right? If you're Gambit at this point, do you ever just not go A? Because that was the whole team. That was their whole team with guns, popping an ult, even to try and get some done, operator for Yumpy, and they still managed to win it out. Yeah, it was close, but that's one of those scenarios where if you're Gambit, you just go, well, they literally cannot stop our A take. I don't even know what they had.
What if they 5-stack A? Oh, we'll still win. Like, yeah, predictability kind of goes out the window at this point. The straight-up strategy has been working, and yet you see Team Liquid go back towards the defaults here. 1-3-1. They're holding down primarily in mid, looking to crunch in on any sort of pushes, but Gambit... Oh, okay. They're going towards the A site, which isn't too surprising, but that opening duel is...
Yeah, the issue is it's the same problem as before, with the amount of kills and orbs that Nats has been taken.
כן, אבל כשאני משחק ככה, כשאני משחק ככה, ואז כשאני משחק ככה, וכולם בהיקו, וכולם בהיקו ואני נשק, לא תפיק.
And Solkas gets spammed back by Rengar. That is unbelievable. That was spawn essentially. Oh wow, Gambit. With the advantage to play with here, Team Liquid still have that rifle though. The team fully stacked up a situation we've seen again and again. Gambit, we know their slow play. It's their signature style, and they're doing it again. 40 seconds, and they still haven't moved, and yeah, they faked Liquid out.
Oh, this is so annoying to play against. There's no way they're going to keep pushing it, right, guys? They're still just going straight into the A site once again. They're going to try and get themselves the plant players holding, watching to try and swing after plant position once again on this A site. Nice shot from Yumpy, but instant trades from Gambit. They're looking so good in responsive plays, making sure that no advantage can ever be found for Team Liquid. And now, once again, they are just being slaughtered as they try and push back into this site. Defo brought back from the grave, and he takes 3 players with him. 7-3. Gambit. Keep going, eh?
Look, at the end of the day, though, this is what we know it for. All hope has not even remotely gone for Team, but we start to add on some conditions here. 3 rounds, it's not quite enough on that defense. We need to see a little bit more from them. Maybe if they can like get the pistol and so on, it's winnable, but we don't want to go to the ifs, ands, and buts. Team Liquid, walking into this one, they need this round, and they're investing fully into it. A B take from Gambit is a big, big change. And as you can see, Liquid are not ready for it. They've only got the 1 player here, and that's a retake wall Navarra's put down.
Yeah, he was left as the solo player. Actually gets tagged up by the drone fairly early, and no one else on the team has made it in for the rotation just yet. You can see that the plan would just be to try and get that wall in, Nats, get the plant, and then just fall back to yellow once again. And they've left the lurker on the other side. They know there's not been an aggressive push to get in on the flank just yet.
Team Liquid have got full control over middle. They're watching for a flank play through A. The most important thing is this utility setup on the site. Again, we're going to see it used to try and deny a plant. but the snake bite doesn't come in even remotely on time. It might have bounced off the wall, I'm not sure, but the TLDR is planned to secured, and Gambit now have an advantage. They've also got a late flank coming through from Chronicle potentially. Team Liquid are going to need a miracle to get out with this one.
Yeah, and then a lot of them are going to get removed from them. They'll know if there's players in the back corner. Chronicle is just, he's causing issues. That's what he's really doing. He just needs to be in the back line just to almost say, like, guys, you got nowhere to go. Until you kill me off, the round is over, and Liquid know that. They're just going to try and save their weapons for the next round.
כן, רוי, אבל אני עדיין לא בטוח שזה רק זה. לא יודע למה הוא אותו עדיין על וייפר. לדעתי זה הסיבה, מה שאמרתי מקודם. לא בטוח פשוט. שכן נעבדו את הפלייסטייל שלו, אבל...
Maybe I'm wrong on this, but it looked like Shados canceled that retake attempt entirely with the knife. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't put their Viper util up. They couldn't put a wall up. And almost immediately after that knife went down, the team sort of stopped for a second, sort of looked around and went, okay, let's get out of here. You know, there's no opportunity to get back in. They would have to take all the fights.
לא, אני אגיד לך מה, כרוניקל זה שחקן שיכול לשחק את כל הדמויות. כמעט את כל הדמויות, זה שחקן שהוא פלקס. מה שהטים צריך זה מה שהוא יעשה. יכול להיות שהוא מרגיש יותר נוח על וייפר מאשר על סייג' במפה הזאת, אבל זה גם יכול להיות אופציה, ובגלל זה נאס תביא אותה הווייפר. 9-3.
Yeah, and again, we're going to get into these afterplants once again. Shot that line up.
אני חושב שאתה ברמה שכן של קבוצה, לדעתי כן. כרגע אני בקבוצה, אחי, אומנם לא כרגע, לא בארגון או משהו, בקבוצה משלנו. ואנחנו נפתיע, יואב.
Now, we talked about the original iteration of the 9-3 curse. I heard Ryan bring
it
up earlier on the desk.
Looks
like we might have a second opportunity. We'll run it back, so to speak. 9-3 as we close things out. An impressive attack side from Gambit, it has to be said. And, you know, I'm gonna look into this one, into this pistol, and say, Team Liquid, yeah, you're gonna want this round.
Yeah, and the scariest thing as well is, I imagine this was champions at least that Gambit were very comfortable playing. Breeze was at the top of the list, so it's a bold pick coming in for Liquid. Now, obviously, they've seen the scrims they've been playing against. They probably have a lot more information than we currently do because we haven't seen either of these teams.
So it's
definitely a little bit of a different ballgame in terms of where people's map pools currently sit, but
לא הכי חשוב פה, אבל ג'ט כן חשוב.
Sick.
בוא נראה, זה מעניין.
They do. They really and truly do. It's not just about the rounds being won, but the fact that Team Liquid have stacked up sites and tried so many different things and just met a brick wall of resistance every time. It was impressive, but as we said, things are not over yet for Team Liquid. There is a lot of pressure. Gambit here already, and mainly it's Defo, and he gets blinded up. A good leer that avoids that aggression. Somehow, Defo is still alive in the cover from Shadows. That's them the opening duel. Another landed. A quick shot from Defo, but quickly returned by Link, who's now left to fall back and try to heal himself up. His teammates falling around him, and again, we end up with the advantage in favor of the defense. Oh, you lunatic! He's just gone up, rushing in towards the spawn.
Oh, actually worked out. Obviously, the knife definitely didn't help, and now they know where Link is on the site, trying to just take the fights at this point. Getting a plant seems now impossible, unless he's going to try and go back. He's got the time for it. Obviously, he needs to get out of earshot so that he can just start running. But yeah, there's not going to be a rotation, so chances are there will at least be an afterplant for Link, and if he can get himself in a spot where he can try and find an individual duel, there's a very real world that the Clutch King will win this round.
Opportunity presenting itself, that's for sure. And this is going to be a long one. He has so much time for this post plant, go wherever he wants, but
10 seconds left.
Obviously Link doesn't know that. Having healed himself up earlier, no armor. יש לי בקשב וריכוז, לפעמים זה כאב ראש. אז פה ושם אנחנו נחזור אליהם. No steps are heard. Link has the info, but he's been spotted. That's caught him. Oh man, I mean they know exactly where he is. He's hardly playing up close on the wall, is he? No, there he is up above. They're ready for this fight now. This gets so much more difficult for Link.
Nice
so
try.
close, man. Look at the HP on nets.
It's frustrating.
25.
And especially now you have to consider that's another 4 orbs for Nats in round 1. So there's likely to be a...
חברים, אין מצב שכולם פה שמו לייק וסאב. אין מצב. אין מצב. לא סומך עליכם. שימו לייק, שימו סאב מי שעוד לא שם. זה מאוד עוזר, זה ככה בדיוק שנייה. שיהיה שבת שלום לכולם. Nice try by Link. כן. בואי, הביא לו דינק.
Well, the plant, which gives you some extra credits, or you take this as like a few pistols, a flat eco, and the chances are you're going to allow them to
Link
get to
11
and have a decent economy to play their bonus.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues here for Team Liquid. No easy road, that is for sure. Chronicle in the jump spot, gonna be falling back from here, retrieving the orb, pop it down there, and the same thing that we saw coming out from Liquid's defensive side. And it's become very common on Icebox now. Have that orb in position, snake bite on the other side.
לדעתי סומכים 100% על סקרים כאילו. אם הוא במשחק טיפה רדום שלו, זה יפסיד כל משחק. זה בעיה.
They've almost just said like, we're not even going to allow you to get anywhere near placing a wall down, although I don't know if Link actually has it into this round. So that would be a big problem anyway if you were going to try and get yourself an afterplant with a wall if you actually don't have it at all.
Yeah, kind of tough to use the wall without having it.
You just have to believe it's there, you know? Like, in your mind, if you think the wall is there, then there's no way you can take any damage.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's how it works, but I appreciate
There's a reason I'm not a soldier, let's put it
believe. That way. Yeah. There's more than one reason.
Too handsome is the other. Anyway, we're going to have that rotation. Yeah, that too. 25 seconds for them to try and get anything done. They've gone back to this B site, but the fact is Gambit haven't moved. There are still 3 players ready and waiting on this cross, and they're trying to get a little bit more aggressive because they want to try and find some kills, kill off some players before they actually get this plant down. Young people at least get 1. The link's been dropped, and that means they haven't managed the plant. So getting a second kill, they're making this one costly at least. But now the time running out.
לא יודע אם ראיתי, אבל אני מאמין שעושים את זה, רוי. נייטמר פולש, היידה יאניב. חשמל אותנו.
Yeah, you know, the thing is 10 more seconds on that clock, and all of a sudden, I believe that's 11-3 we go, though, and
problems... ברוך הבא, חבר מועדון אחלה קר, שבת שלום. תודה רבה, חבר מועדון, אוהב המון, אחי. מעריך את זה.
If they want to, but the way things have been going, I expect them to just full invest at this point.
But yeah, it's a weird spot when you lose that many players.
ראינו שקריינים מוסיפה בהמון, מוסיפה במלא, ברור. מוסיפה במלא. הם עושים לך את כל האווירה, את כל הצעקות, השיגעון. נגיד, יש מהלכים שאם לא הייתה קריינות, אז... זה היה מהלך בסדר, אבל אם מה שאמרו ברקע זה מהלך שהוא הרבה יותר יפה.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. Had that one coming. Well, look,
תודה רבה מאוד, תסלח יקר, אוהב.
Really impressed me with what it says about them, that they've taken this sort of an investment. They're not in a rush to end this game. They want to win, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter if they are a little bit late for dinner. That drone has spotted a player up close, and Chronicle almost gets away with a kill. But obviously the Spectre wanted that range, so that plan's going to be secured, and Team Liquid should have an easy round.
Yeah, and they're going to put themselves in a great position as well. Getting a lot of kills in the last brings a lot of ultimates very close to being online, and even getting very close to a res for the next round if they desire it. Shados, he just wants to make this as costly as possible, and hey, Jumpy going down a rope, he almost had Scream as well. But it's just going to be the one shot.
So Gambit is real.
Finances will be fine going into the next one. Gambit, though, I think they will have a purchase. As said.
למה כאלה?
Lead that's there, more than comfortable.
תאמין, מורטיס, תאמין.
Liquid's attack.
מנטלי. זה הכל מנטלי, המנטלי שהם חזקה, הם עושים גם בקאט. צ'אט, כל מי שכאן ועוד לא שם סאב ולייק, שימו סאב ולייק, קח שנייה, וזה באמת שזה מאוד מאוד עוזר. בואי ננסה להגיע לאיזה 1200 סאבים, 1300 סאבים אולי אפילו. קודם כל בוא נגיע ל100 לייקים, צ'אט. קודם כל 100 לייקים. אתה אחרי זה משחק, וואלה יש לנו לראות את המשחק הזה, שזה 3 מפות אולי. G2 נגד פנאטיק, לא נראה שאני אשחק אחרי זה עדה. תלוי אם יהיה לי כוח האמת, בוא נראה. בוא נראה איך יזרום.
They'll have a little bit of time. I think it might even be a little bit hesitant in their rotation in towards the B side and actually give more space over than you might think. Could it be possible the Link waited there
נאץ על סייג' ולא על וייפר, נראה לי שזה כל הקטע היה, שהפתיעו קצת. כי גם אתה מכירים את הגיימפליי של נאץ. איך שהוא משחק, את הפלייסטייל שלו. אז טיפה שינוי יכול להיות טוב אולי.
At least one. Look who's up close. Okay, Scream got seen as well. Snakebite's gonna be late. Oh, Snakebite's actually bounced off the edge of the wall, so never mind. Still able to catch Link on the fade back. Scream advantage now sitting comfortably in favor of Gambit. This was looking good for Liquid, but it took a nosedive real quick.
די, למה?
Yeah, they switched up the wall just to try and deny the snakebite, and then they end up getting caught by bullets instead. Not quite a worthwhile trade.
איזה ריט... מה? אוי ואבוי, איזה ריטק מושלם. טוב! טוב, סולקס!
4 kills in this round that was looking like it was going to come towards the end of the map with Gambit hitting 12.
יכול להיות שליפית בדון הנאצ על... יכול להיות, כן, האמת יכול להיות.
A crazy pivot in that round, considering the amount of
damage. הנה, 11-6, מורטיס, 11-6. עכשיו הוא הולך 11-6. יש איזה מהזווית שלו, את כל הכלים?
A lot of props has to go to Solkis on that side, that hold around yellow. Oh my.
Ended XP, שבת שלום אח שלי יקר.
Perfectly, 11-5, Eco coming out of Gambit. This is Liquid's opportunity to
help
themselves out a little bit, feel that little bit more confident. They've almost lost Scream straight away, but they'll be healed on up surely.
Yeah, they do have to be a bit careful. Defo managed to get the orb for the Blade Storm. Fragment will hold them back a little longer, but he's the danger man, and he's dead.
ברגע שנייה time out הם הפסידו, ליקוויד כאילו.
I love the
תמיד שיש time out של גמביט, המשחק נגמר.
We're gonna come running through right after, but yeah, the reveal instead coming into play. Nice shot by
נאץ ראשון.
3 versus 2,
עוד 3
still
נאץ.
good opportunity for Gambit to maybe pry some weapons out of the hands of Team Liquid, do some extra damage. But in the end, it'll be 3 alive for Liquid, and you know, damage this late in the game ain't gonna play that big of a story. It's just all about Gambit picking up this buy round right here, and it's the operator in the hands of Defo that starts to scare me.
זה ראונד מאוד חשוב.
Yeah, it'll be no shields. So,
no shields.
Yeah,
הנה time out. נגמר.
This is the thing. This is why you saw the shock of Sue when we had a no jet coming through. One of the main ways you're going to see this defense played on the A site in particular is just how aggressive that he's going to get. Like you can see him push onto the belt, dash away after hitting or missing a shot, and there's very little that their opponents can actually do to stop him from getting away with that. There's also just some of the elevated angles, which sure you could do with the chamber, but it's why we've seen even Scream at times on this map playing Jet, because there's just so many opportunities for those aggressive individual plays to work out, which you can't do as well, at least with Arena. So they're going to have to be very wary of that. Of course, Liquid have played Icebox before, so they will be very wary of that, because it is one of the only defensive strategies that people have at the moment on this map. So I don't think that's going to be too much of a worry for them, but it is Defo. And when as said, I wanted to see the level coming out of him.
הכל תלוי בראונד הזה, אם צריכים את הראונד הזה, יש פה קאמבק. באיזשהו משחק.
Has been one of my favorite players. For sure. On the scene for so long, and you know, it was someone that I was very excited after all the rumors and EMEA back in the day, stage 1, stage 2, you know, it was like, oh, these guys are incredible in the scrims, defo, and then you get to see him, and well, I'll say in scrims, he still has not reached his top potential when it comes to officials, not even close. The guy's unbelievable. That is an aggressive push out of Defo with no shields. He gets away with it, no kill, but Chronicle's doing a damn good job of holding down B. Still on this choke going around yellow. His utility covering the walkthrough on B. And with that double kill spike drop, look at the repositioning. But that has actually allowed Solkis to sneak all the way through. And with that knife going out, he knows there's a player right up above him. It's the KO, but he'll be beat from the side still. Getting away with one. Shados will get the jump on him though. and leave Yumpy's operator as the final player. We hyped up this agent pick in this man's hands, but I think a 1v4 is a little too much.
לא, ברגע שריינה וסייג' נהרגו שם ולא היה טרייד זה די גמור. כי גם הספייק נפל.
He now no longer has enough bullets to actually kill the remaining players on the team, so he'll have to either find a gun or switch up to his pistol, and he's not even going to be given the chance. Nats with the repeat will close out this round, and yeah, Gambit back to Gambit ways, 12-6. Chronicle as well, like, again. He was one of, I want to say one of, if not even the best player that we saw at Champions. He was unbelievable. I think only if they had won the event, he was MVP.
זה אבל הבחירה של גמביט, כן, זה הבחירה של גמביט. בפעם הבאה שלהם זה בריז, בריז זה מעניין.
He has played before, but not necessarily so much on this map.
בריז ראינו את ליקוויד, ליקוויד נראים טוב בבריז. באחרונה שראיתי אותה.
The next map where I think, at least in the past, he also played Viper. Might be time to be a little bit scared if you're a Liquid fan.
6 attempts, all those ultimates as well. For
Gambit,
deep ulti bench to play with. As do Team Liquid, but it's the fact that Gambit only need the one round, right? One recovery, and they are done and dusted on this. A very aggressive push out of screen. He's up on top trying to play around that wall. Hunter's Fury will be committed. And it's available on the other side. Redgar trying to grab some tags. This is ludicrous. As the Viper's pick comes out of Nevera, the site will be secured, but screen goes down to even the numbers.
It looks like a strong possibility of an afterplant. There is a res available for Link, but getting to Scream, I think it's going to be easier said than done. He was perched up around that wall. Unless it's actually been sectioned off. If it's below, he might actually be able to get something done here. Yumpy also waiting, but they'll be held back, and it's mainly going to come down to this Viper's pit. Can it be cleared? Defo goes above, though, and that's Soulcast gone. Thankfully, though, Link's still within the pit alongside Nevera, and they are holding this one down.
Incredible movement from Link there. He's going to get the flank in to close out this round.
Nice.
He so quickly maneuvers himself, taking that fight on the side, jumps up on top of the box, silently gets himself up above, and then drops back down behind. I mean, that was expert play. 5 rounds now needed, but another concern, Hunter's Fury and Viper's Pit used up by Team Liquid. Now, Gambit did do the same, using the exact same ultimates, in fact, you know, in for penny, in for pound on that one. And so Team Liquid do end up with the ult advantage. If anything, you know, despite the fact, obviously, they won that round. Official one for them moving forward.
בדוק יש פה 6 אנשים שלא שמו לייק. בדוק. אהלן כפיר, שבת שלום אח. זה אפשרי, וואלה אפשרי.
I mean, that's kind of what I implied by saying, yeah, they won the round, but there's more to it than just a round on the board.
For sure, for sure. Well, yeah, and also the finances of Gambit are in the bin, so should be a fairly free round for Liquid, already managing to catch on that A site. And now we'll see how Gambit are actually going to take some risks. Nats has managed to push into mid, though. And with spotting nothing on that side, it might allow them to at least stack up on this B site a little bit.
Yeah, that drone certainly giving away those Gambit are fully moving into the B side, but how much can you really do? I mean, with full utility, Team Liquid have an easy plant. We've seen the snakebite strategy of practically no success so far, and then once they go back to these post plants, they out-aim you on range every time.
And Nat still has his wall, but again, it's whether he actually wants to put it into this round. He's going to take the head off Nevera, though. The flank at least gone, and they could just fall back and save a rifle. Instead, he is going to try and wall up. There is absolutely no way this works, but he gets rid of Scream as well. And Shados will fall. Again, a couple of kills. I don't think it's going to play any part in ultimates because Nat's already had his online, and for the other side, still plenty of finances anyway, so somewhat irrelevant in terms of the purchase. And actually, Nats, after he got the kill there, he could have gone back and actually picked up the rifle and saved that for the next round, so maybe that would have been the better choice.
With 4 opportunities to close this out, I mean, that's at least 2 buy rounds coming out again. A force mixed in there as well. There's a whole lot of opportunity, but it's starting to feel more and more doable for Team Liquid. We talk about that 9-3 curse with these 2 teams on this map. Well, it hasn't come into fruition just yet. Team Liquid with a super slow early stage, and they won't quite get that opening kill, although to me it looked on.
magic trick this time doesn't wow the crowd quite as much as usual, and 2 players. Why actually get spotted here? Did he just deny the drone? I think it had to be shot anyway, but they've left Shados behind. If he wasn't spotted, this could be the snake in the grass that ruins things for Team Liquid. They're going to come sneaking through. Oh, I think it was a bit of an off position from Shados. Moves his crosshair and gets caught by Scream, and he's able to fade away.
Just as he tried to jump up onto that lip, or jump off it rather, the peak comes around, ruining his day entirely.
היידה יניב, שחשמל אותי אחי, שבת שלום חבר, מה אומר? איך עבר עליי יניב?
Nats has a res, so if they can manage to fight themselves forward, that should be pretty easy to get Shados back online. But look how aggressive Team Liquid are being because of this. They do not want to give any space to Gambit on this retake. They want to make them fight for every inch. There's quite a lot for them to work with in terms of util, and I think Gambit are realizing you're not winning this round. Is going to be pretty difficult because Team Liquid are throwing themselves at those players. Try and drop the weapons out of their hands.
They might as well chase it. They've got plenty of finances available to them. Oh, such a leg shot. Soulcast manages to jump out, and the remaining players, they may be on the chase, but I think Gambit are going to be able to save. But yeah, I've quite liked the afterplants of Liquid so far. They have been quite aggressive in the way that they've played, but with Scream's ability to dismiss and then just basically denying that space, having the slows available as well from Link to just stop this pushback into the site. And the fact that I feel like, again, the same for both teams, these aggressive players are working. I liked the idea from the sort of bait and switch of Defo and Shados, but of course, timing played a little bit of a part. But the other thing was there wasn't really an out for Shados. He basically had to get that kill and then run away, which I feel like chances of success are fairly small.
Yeah, it's one of those rounds where they take a few risks, it doesn't pay off, and now I start to get even more worried. I mean, Gambit, 3 chances to close it out. Opening duel going in favor of Yumpy, and that is the operator. I mean, look, for Gambit, this is another round that they can kind of throw away. They don't have to be too upset if it doesn't end up going in their favor. But Liquid are starting to build up the momentum, and that's where I think a lot of their power...
מפה של עתק, אמרתי את זה כבר. מפה רצינית של עתק אבל. כרוניקל שומר את הארוך הזה, לא? בעצם...
denies any of that space being taken. Same after plant again for Liquid, and a Chronicle that there's
יש לו פה גמבק, כן, יש לו פה גמבק.
for him just running away with this operator. Like maybe he wants to try and get a kill towards his ult, but chances of victory slim to none. They haven't been able to do it with rifles. I don't know why they think they can do it with a solo operator, but hey, he's already managed to get 1 kill. I guess he's tempted to go for it.
They really don't have a lot of credits on the Gambit side. This is strange to see them committing to it. Shados has an opportunity converted. Oh, the shot from Chronicle on the money. Solkus not actually really having that much time on his side. The spray is close. He's out of ammo halfway already. Shados gets it. It's done. Gambit have got the map.
13 אני לא מאמין, איזה ריטק.
seconds left in it. A few more bullets in the magazine, and Team Liquid win that round and keep on fighting.
2 על 4 ושריף. מה? איך אתה מביא דבר כזה לקרות?
A retake that, I mean, every part of my
מה?
body is screaming, go save, what are you doing?
Have you seen the moment in Harry Potter
כבר תפסתם מומנטום כאילו כבר.
וואו, איזה פדיחה. You steal that cut. That's what. How dare you go for that round?
ריזן, איך קורה ריטייק כזה, תגיד לי? איך קורה כזה ריטייק?
לא ראיתי את הראונד האחרון.
באמת? דווקא את הראונד הכי חולה אני נראה לי בא.
13-9 as we close things out here. I'll tell you what, Team Liquid, they've got to be kicking
די הרזבו אותנו. לא היה קונטנט במשחק הזה.
לא, ציפיתי פה ציפיתי לסקרים עולה על הבלט עם ונדלים ופאפאפאפאפאם 3 כדורים לראש.
ציפיתי שיהיה פה קצת פייט.
אני מצפה גם בבריז אחרי שהם ישברו אותם, גם עם סקרים כחרינה ביחד.
לא, לא.
לצאת בסמי פיינל כזה חזק ואז לחזור משחק ראשון שלך 13-3. כאילו זה לא...
עכשיו בריז כאילו ליקוויד מנצחים את זה נראה לי.
כן, זה בטוח. לא, ליקוויד...
הבריז שלהם היא קצת בריזית, בוא נגיד
אף
ככה,
אחד לא
אז...
טוב. המלאקי, אבל...
כן, כן.
חוץ מסליגי, המאמן שלהם, הוא קצת שחקן. הוא לא עני, כן? אבל...
בריז יהיה חריף? כן, וואלה, בריז יהיה חריף.
יום אחד הוא ייקח את הקורס. יאללה, רבי, אל תהיה קל מדי.
דקה שנייה. חניקה של החיים קל, רוי, בטח. מה זה חניקה, אבל? גומרים אותנו. בוא נראה כמה זמן. 3 דקות, אני מאמין שידברו על איזה 5-4 דקות. בוא נראה, מקווה שלא יחנקו אותנו. עשיתי את העכבר בטעינה בינתיים. ותעבון רוח שלי יקר, שבת שלום. לא, איפה אין? בס משחק. מקווה שלא יחנקו אותנו. טוב, צ'אט, אני בדיוק דקה יחזור עד שיתחילו פה כל העניינים.
It's a new year and a new competition, but it's the same old Gambit winning rounds and maps they had no business.
אני בדיוק דקה יחזור, צ'אט. דקה 2 אני חוזר.
them to do what they did in that last round and come out on top with it?
Yeah, not really, to say the very least. It was one of those things that I think in a lot of those situations, Liquid looked the better team, right? When they were on an eco buy, they were the ones that were maybe doing a bit more damage to Gambit, but not really winning the round. So it is typical fashion of Gambit win that. There's another round I want to break down in a second. It was the exact same, a moment where Gambit's in a 3v5 and they still managed to clutch it out. I think Sliggy's going to be pretty mad at some of the discipline from Liquid in this one.
Yeah, I have to say that we were, expecting to see the chamber and how he was going to apply into this map, where the nuances and the advantages that he was going to create for Liquid. To me, especially seeing how Jumpy was just going out first in the rounds in so many occasions, and having that effect that maybe he wanted to take some control over mid, but actually not being able to find it, and also the way that Gambit was shutting down any kind of aggression that Scream tried to do with those 0 points. The effect that KO had onto Liquid was just massive.
That's what I wanted to ask, because you can sort of see what Liquid wanted to do. You can see the theories behind the chamber, but every time they tried to do it, Ryan Shados was like, nah.
It's not only the utility connecting onto the chamber and arena, stopping them from teleporting or dismissing out. As a defender, you want to be a bit more aggressive on A to get information, to see if there's anybody there, or to very least give yourself a nice quick 5v4. Team Liquid were terrified of Shados with that utility, and it's so easy to get some really good KO knives into positions that can't get destroyed, that Team Liquid were playing off of the site when they wanted to play in close and try and get kills. They were just taking out the game on their defense, which is why Gambit were running riot with a 9-3 half.
Yeah, completely. That is one of the reasons why we like seeing Scream playing on the Reynas, because he can be extra aggressive, he can come up from some crazy plays, but he was not feeling comfortable, not at times. And also, I love to see how Gambit, weren't playing that passive. They were actually taking the upper hand and maybe freezing more in a mid-run call and just going one by one, clearing all the angles. And that is probably one of the reasons that they managed to get that last round, just little by little. Of course, time is not on our side. We only have pistols. Well, Chronicle was with the operator, because Chronicle can do everything.
Which was Defo's operator as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't his.
Like, oh, you die. I'm gonna save it. Or how about I just close it here? I'm just gonna take the picks. But yeah, it was crazy to see Gambit's performance and evolution to this year.
I want to talk about Scream real quick, because Jet for me is a must-have on this map. I know, for you it's the SS, the VSS. But what did you make of the fact that they played without the Jet? Do you think this Reyna was fine, or would you prefer to see Scream on something else?
I mean, I would have liked to see, I said it on the prima, I would have liked to see Scream playing on the Jet. I understand that you want to bring in something new, but I think maybe the chamber was enough just because of all the situations that Jet opens for you. I also understand why it's Scream and why he wants to play on the Reyna, but I think maybe looking to the future, this might be a change that they want to consider.
It was strange, because the whole idea, I suppose, is that you'd have the Jet switch out and have the chamber play in that position, so it'd be sort of similar spots with the op on rafters peeking out, which is what Yempi was doing, but he was also playing very central to the map, where you'd see like a Killjoy put her stuff, a Sage putting a wall in Tube. It was like he was in two minds constantly, and every time it was like, I need to make a play, I need to peek out of this smoke. Every single time Gambit felt ready for it, because they 0-pointed it before, he's not there, he's going to try and get on us as soon as we plant this spike. Every time, I think it was 5 first deaths that ended up on Yampi, like he couldn't find an opening.
Sometimes I hate comparisons, but if we talk about Chronicle, I think that we maybe should, everything went black.
When you mentioned Chronicle.
We got suppressed. We got KO knifed in here. What's going on?
On the back of the screen, so we cannot break it. Maybe we should call it to see if they can help us. But on the other side of Chronicle, we have to talk about Nivera. You were highlighting the player, and I think that he wasn't having the best of the matches, of the maps, especially because most of the times he was playing alone on B. And when Gambit started that execute, maybe it was Jumpy going for that aggressive pick, not finding anything, and Nivera just not finding exactly where he has to position to support the rest of the team, and just not having the map.
And also, like, Chronicle, like, you usually, when you see a Viper from Gambit get, like, 20-odd kills and a KDA of almost, like, 2.93, you expect it to be Nats.
Yeah.
The fact that Chronicle put in that performance and Nats was fine. Like, on the Sage, it's hard to have that impact, but he still, like, did decently. He didn't do amazing, but he did his job. The fact that Chronicle was able to put in that performance, like, I'm looking at him again, be like, he was so good in Champions, he's looking to be, if he can play different roles, one of the best players in the region, for sure.
Yeah, it's not the Champions MVP for no reason. Ryan, you mentioned the 3v5 earlier. Let's take a look at that now.
Yeah, I'm going to move over to here. This is brand new, so I get to show it off. But I'll keep it straightforward, just because everything's on fire right now anyway, so like we can keep it straightforward. So yeah, at this point, Link gets 2 kills into mid. I've sort of boomed up the mini-map a little bit so you can see just how difficult of a position it is to get this spike. The fact that this is reclaimed in the end from Gambit is ridiculous. Chronicle again finding space. He was often playing on these flanks watching to see if Team Liquid going to push or whether they were
זה יפה דרוש של סקרים, לא צריך להחזיק את היציאה פשוט. כי אם מישהו יקפוץ לראפטרס הוא ישמע את זה. מצד ימין פשוט להחזיק את היציאה וזהו. קפץ לראפטרס.
We all sort of said it when we were in the room, like, all right, yeah, this is pretty much done and dusted. Like, Nevera dedicating, it might not even be necessary to get this Viper's Pit. But again, this sort of A push, they know that they can't go through this Viper's Pit. But if they can find an opening, this is where it can work. I think the thing that I really wanted to highlight was the good idea that came from Nevera once this Viper's Pit gets used on the other side. So the peak comes in. I don't know how Link loses that fight in the first place, but Chronicles swing like that. It's this Viper's Pit. I love that Nevera goes to try and push it to preemptively shut it down. He had the right idea, but the fact that Chronicle was playing in so close for the trade, it was one of those situations where Gambit should never have won that round, especially when a Viper's Pit's dedicated in a 5 versus 3. But then Gambit went on to win every single attacking round afterwards. So it felt like, for me, it boomed Team Liquid in that round and they couldn't really bring it back.
Yeah, completely. I have to
Yalla
agree.
breeze, yalla breeze.
On the green room, and it was completely crazy to witness how. Come back here, Ryan. When the map is getting so close, you see ultimates going in and out, and even though the round seemed kind of lost for Gambit just because of the position of the spike, when you see those ults coming in, and again, as I was mentioning, Gambit clearing out angle by angle, just little by little, being like, okay, we can still do this. Also, we need to talk about the fact that during the entire map, of course, we had those technical difficulties at the beginning. Also, shout out to Mitch and Tom for actually, bringing us all that extra content. But Liquid decide to not ask for a single timeout on the entirety of the map. So maybe they would have needed that 1 minute to be like, okay, how are we playing the chamber? How are we playing the map? Are we having the rotations that we want to have and the pressure on the map, or are we just being denied by that 0 point?
I mean, the one time map we did see Gambit use turned it around for them.
Yeah,
they
totally
stopped the bleeding. That was a great technical pause, and I can't believe we didn't mention the red guard knife because.
That was
okay.
Like ago.
I feel bad for Link. His first death of 2022 is to a knife from Redguard. But we'll move on from that because map 2 is going to be Breeze. And this is where things I feel like get really interesting because both teams, Ryan, are so good on Breeze.
Yeah, I mean, Gambit also tried out various different compositions, like they were playing a bit of Killjoy on the map, which was super odd. Chronicle was switching between that and playing this over. It was one of their undefeated maps, I think, overall. Like, they were scared by Crew, for example. They were scared by Ascent. They always did well to bring it back. For Liquid, we only saw them play it once, ever, I think. Maybe twice, but the main one is their win against Sentinels, which they were 3-9 down, or 4-8 down at the half and managed to bring it back in overtime.
Yeah, and we saw actually Liquid playing with that KO. Maybe that could be the difference for them. And also when you're Gambit and you have Nats who's going to be playing on that Viper, what are you going to do? Do you want double duelist? Do you want someone else on the Sentinel when you're so used to having just Nats doing Nats things? So, of course, we expect surprises. Also, we have to mention that even though Gambit got map 1 and we kind of expected, really tough fight, it was the map that they chose. And now, Breeze is being picked by Team Liquid. Are we expecting some chambers again? On my side, I am.
Nevera
maybe? There's no
reason why they couldn't share that role, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's more Link, I think, because he's the one that's on the Cypher, right? Nevera's still going to be on that Viper, so I want to see a better performance from him. The map's also changed a little bit as well. And I think that, we've seen a bit of, like Nerd Street Tournaments, NA playing on, like, the new version of Breeze, certainly on the A side. It doesn't seem to have changed up that much, but I think this is the part where we might see big differences. We've also seen a lot more Astra being used on this map, which we didn't used to see before. The double control of teams like Xset, Def, another EMEA player killing it. We're going to do the same with Beckles if 100 Thieves does well. If they don't, he's not allowed home. Anyway, so I think the main thing is just that it's still adapting, and especially now Astra could be a pick, and Yampy does play a little bit of Astra too.
Yeah, that is true. But what about the side of Gambit as well? Both teams, it's very apparent from Icebox that it's not the same team comms are running in 2021. So what changes would you like to see on Gambit?
Changes per se, I would like them to keep them classy in that sense. Of course, as I said, we want some things to be played safe, especially when we're going onto Liquid's map pick. I want to keep the Viper. I don't know if I expect some chamber on their side, but what I like from Gambit, just from this Icebox, is the change of pacing all the time, being extra aggressive, not being, the Gambit that took a minute and a half to actually make a decision. So if they manage to put that out also on Breeze, I don't care that much about the composition.
Yeah, maybe more Shadows KO, really. I do think that this is the point where Soulcast would diff him, but I think that matchup would be really interesting because Soulcast is so comfortable on this age, and that it's going to be interesting to see somebody that's played him pretty much as soon as KO came out because Sky got nerfed versus somebody that was a bit slower to move over, or whether they stay on the Sky because they believe in it. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and if Chamber doesn't come out on Liquid but comes out on Gambit, I know Nats is probably who's expected to play it, but do you think that it stops with Nats? Because looking at someone like Chronicle, he plays everything as well.
After what we just saw with the operator, please, I want it. I need Chronicle.
I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, and with the changes that we've seen on the map, of course, there's a couple things that need to be taken into consideration, and of course, the teams are prepared for it. Now, are they going to be expecting this changes, and how are they going to
היה בכלל בריז מה זה עדכון? לא היה. בתחרותי כאילו. מה ששינו את הסייטים קצת.
Or if you're even going to play the Cypher, if you know that that 0 point is also online on the other side.
You could just sort of do the same utility, right? It's that global utility of just stick a trademark over in holes. Just leave it alone. Don't try and face with an operator or anything like that. Give up that space. And so, yeah, I think it's a possibility. I just think that from what we've seen, Gambit's composition, similar to what Na'Vi were running through their qualifiers and stuff. I think FBX picked it up a couple of times as well. It wouldn't surprise me if there is that CIS lean.
כן, יכול להיות הם משחקים יותר קטנים, כאילו.
NA focused, I suppose. Some teams like NRG, T1,
לא ליקוויד גמביט.
comps that we saw from Icebox. I could imagine him sort of playing a double controller with the Astra. That seems more like them, I feel.
Yeah. We are going to head into Agent Select soon, but before that, I want to talk about the gravity, the importance of
נכון, היה רייז נגד אנרג'י.
These two teams are the best teams in theory in this group, and as you guys know, if you get number 1 seed in this group, your chances at playoffs to go to Masters is dramatically increased. You just have to win one best of 3. So Ryan, Gambit, they're 1-0 up already. If they win here today, how likely do you think for them to get that number 1 seed, given that they probably won't lose to anyone else in this group?
Yeah, that's the feeling. Like, I just think that whilst we might see some close full best of 3s against Gambit, they always seem to come out on top. They did so in Champions. I expect more the same. Even if
Gambit מתפרקים, אני גם חושב לצערי, כן.
Being a bit scared by like a big
בא לי לראות את ליב מתפרקים.
stuff. Like, I think Team Liquid is the better team, but we have seen them get surprise upset quite frequently in the past, right? So even if Liquid win this, it's a great start, but they need to maintain and win the games that they should be winning.
I think that the problem for both these teams is that no matter who they're going to be playing against after this one, because of course starting off with like your biggest opponent in the group doesn't have to be easy, but I think that the rest of the teams on the group have to be scared of them. It has to have so much respect for everything that they achieved on last year. I don't think it's that pivotal for them to just win this one, because they both know that they're in a situation where the other one is also the favorite.
Yeah, it's very early to say this, but do you feel like there's a world that Gambit, if they win the next map, it's a big if, do you see a world where they don't come out?
גם משדר וגם חוזר לשחק בקרב.
So essentially, last year. Yeah, essentially, if Liquid gets them and buys them the ticket for another event,
I mean that's what we're saying, right? Because essentially, if they win this next map, Ryan, they have the biggest advantage ever for Masters.
It feels almost too early to say, but it is
too early.
It's just because of that. Like, maybe they sort of struggle against their CIS peers like FPX and Na'Vi, just because they sort of are cut from the same cloth with how they're playing from the looks, and because the amount that they've scrimmed against each other, I have to imagine. It's a tough one. I think this group is very much more open than Group B is, just because there's a lot of teams that have a lot to prove mind-wise. I think if you're looking at the size of the Oaks like G2, BBL and stuff, Group B is massive. But with some of the teams that are here to sort of prove something, get some redemption and bring out some new interesting ideas, it's going to be difficult for both Gambit and Liquid in this group, more so than it maybe looks on paper.
Yeah, in which case, what do Liquid need to do to stop this from happening, Ryan?
I think it's kind of like the lean on Scream on Reyna. Like, I don't think it was inherently a problem that they played it on Icebox, because you can't. Fine, it was sort of like middling of the pack, like
ימפי בטח צ'אמבר, בשביל הוואפ, סקרים ג'ט.
Like, okay, if we're playing this composition, we need to not overthink it. We don't need Yampi over-peaking with the operator to make up for a loss. I think it's Liquid looks so much better when they're slow and they're resetting and they're trying to take map control instead of just sending it onto a site. I think Breeze, that was a big thing that stood out to me in their Sentinels game, is if they try and execute through A, they get stalled, they get shut down. Dapper was there being a big problem.
Zoms.
Yeah. if they push through onto A, they sort of go there a little bit, they reset into mid, they find a kill in tunnel, for example. You can find a lot of space and a lot of picks. And Link especially is so good at finding those lurks and openings. Let him do the work and play slow. Don't try and rush it.
I completely agree, and that was something that we were lacking on map 1. We need to see a Liquid that is actually 100% onto the game, that are confident on what they're playing, and they actually, you know, they're like, okay, this is the beginning of the round, this is how the round is going to go. Our utility is going to be on top of yours, and even if you force us out, we're going to be able to retake that space, because I feel like it's also easier for them, because they can expect the kind of comp that Gambit are going to play, so probably a little bit more space for them to think of, and especially, you know, think about those lurks and all the pressure that they can put onto the map without going the extra mile, because it shouldn't be necessary.
You guys mentioned some changes earlier as well for Breeze, but before we get into Agent Select and the map, in case people at home haven't seen the new Breeze, haven't had a chance to, Kakuka, just break it down for me, dumb it down for me. What's new?
Well, we have a little bit more of space in both the sides, I would say, and a little bit more coverage on 2A. I call it a big orange box to play after those pyramids. So you actually have more coverage if you want to play from the defense, or, you know, to even using those 0 points in different scenarios. And on the B side, you have a little bit more space, a little bit more open space after the pillar to also play with, especially new positions for all those operators.
I think the big thing that's happened meta-wise with the changes is there's been a lot more, because Viper would usually play on B, and sort of like the column would be there, they'd just be stood, they'd be waiting. And then they'd be like, all right, go, peek, 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 bang, bang, bang. Now they're more going over to the A side, because it's much more open, it's much more safe on B to play from different positions. Link, especially, again, to bring him up, the Cypher setups on defense, he was getting
פיליפינית או אסיאתית? נראה לי שאסיאתית.
I'd be curious to see even if Cypher
למה אלברט? אז זה בוא תסבירי למה בעצם. רבת שלום שיהיה אלברט.
That could work, because you're using less utility over on B to anchor the position or play retake. Instead, you're putting that over towards A, which is a lot more open, a lot more scary to attack and defend, because it's a lot more closed in, and you can peek a little bit more. You haven't got those 50-50 angles to rely on. So I'm very curious on where these players play, and obviously what agents, but more importantly, where they're going to be stationed.
I think we still need to see what the agents are going to be like. You were talking about utility and getting a lot of kills. We need to talk, obviously, about Nats playing on the
די, אכלת לי את הראש.
Are you going to throw that 0 point further onto the side to see if there's an operator waiting for you? Are you going to use it close to clear at least that Nats is not taking all that control for you? Because the thing for me is, where is he going to be playing? Because still his utility can do so much damage, can delay them so much, and actually play against the timing of that 0 point, making it not useless, but of course not have the same impact as they would expect.
Knowing that, he's probably found like the smallest pocket of space where the knife cannot get you.
One centimeter of space,
and he
the 0 point doesn't get you.
Stands in that block. But we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back on the other side, we should have Agent Select with you.
break. יורד לי די מהאוזן. כמה זמן? 3 דקות. יואו, שברו לי את הראש, נשבע. יואו, מה הם עשו לי? הנה, טנס בבריז, עדיף לראות טנס בבריז.
I'm like jumping around, I don't see shit. I rotate back, forth, back, forth. I don't know. He must have been hiding.
ואז נעביר לגמביט ליקוויד.
Okay. Then he must
זה עדיף לשמוע אותם מדברים.
Because I went right here and I started just jumping everywhere and looking at tunnel.
Oh, good. Nice round. Alright, 6-6.
I think Cyrus probably opened some. I think clears in some.
Jet's here. He's lurking by himself.
I'm rotating.
Viper outside of the gas.
I don't fucking know. Where do I rotate to?
I don't see anything mid. Where's that A?
Window. They're like hitting both sides.
עשו לי כאב ראש השדרנים. נשבע. מקווה שעכשיו אחרי שנגמר השניות פה, אני רואה את הדמויות כבר.
Welcome back, everybody. Agent Select is on the way. But speaking of agents, we've spoken a lot about Chamber, and I feel like we're leaving out my girl Neon, who I feel like might not be that popular right now in the meta. But Kakuka, do you expect either of these teams to kind of just whip it out as a pocket pick?
I'm sorry that it's your girl Neon, but I just do not see her, at least for now, here on Tabriz. She may have some potential, so maybe like maps like Fracture, if you want to go for something crazy, especially when we talk about that week-to-week adaptation, maybe we get to see her. Now here on Breeze, on how the score is.
וואו, איזה חניקות, אחי. לא מאמין שהם ממשיכים לדבר. כמה אתה יכול לדבר? שמע, אני מרגיש כאילו כבר 3 בלילה. הם עשו אותי עייף, באלוהים.
I didn't actually think that made much sense, but Scream Neon makes sense to me.
She just wants to see Scream.
Yeah, I think
it makes sense.
There's merit to it, right? I think Fracture's a good pickup because that's what a crew were running in North America.
כמי שהפיל להם את הסטרים, מה זה הדבר הזה? אז לא יכול לשמוע אותם.
As we get into week on week when more VODs are out there, anti-strat, and especially those teams that are leading with maps like Fracture.
שמע, אני בול, באמא שלי בול.
United, I think, is up there alongside Gambit. Throwing in a Neon just as a pocket pick is going to throw off a lot of
מה הצ'אט אומר? תראה את הצ'אט.
Because there is merit to it, but it's not something that you can rely on consistently, like a Chamber, for example, where you can use them across different maps and in different ways and playstyles. I think Neon is very much...
לא מבין, אתה לא שם משחק? אולי בעתיד, רורי, שבת שלום, חיים שלי.
Shortly after the initial burst of using them, maybe.
I think it also comes down to the fact that if you play the Neon, of course, there's crazy things that you can do, but it's, to me at least, is an agent that always needs enabling from someone else on your team. Like,
לא, יניב, הם מגזימים, יניב. הם מגזימים.
Unless you have the ultimate and you're just going crazy. But for a round-to-round play, you're always going to need an initiator with you. It's not like Jet, you can just go and cover an angle, maybe going from the operator. For Neon, it's a little bit more rough than that.
So no Neon.
So no, I'm sorry, Agent Scream,
if you can hear me.
Maybe Fnatic and
I just feel like Liquid and Gambit.
אני יודע שאני נרדם, אני אדע. נשבע לך, אני יודע שאני נרדם. הם גמרו אותי. איך הולך להפסקה עם הישון? וואלה טיל, אחי. כבר אני מרגיש שאני לא צריך את זה, זה לא מחפש את זה. וואלה, זה כיף, אחי, זה כיף.
The Fnatic comp, which is like the Raze, the Sky Silver, Astra Viper, you've got what Ascender running with the Brimstone and stuff like that.
גם יעשו 2-0, שיעשו 8-0, אבל תן לראות משחק, אנחנו נשמע אותם יותר.
Big, Guild, FPX, Supermassive Blaze, BBL.
הייתי יכול לעשות קומפ, כן.
A lot of teams moving over to the KO, like Ascend have done it. They sort of led the pack, I think, from Champions. C9, I think, were the ones that really made it famous with Zephyr.
לא, עכשיו 7 אלעד, כאילו זה יתחיל ב7 אני מאמין, נסתיים לקראת 8. לקראת 8 אני חושב שאני כבר אסיים את הלייב, אני איך יכול לארוחת שישי. ואולי בעצם לא יודע אם אני אעשה לייב של משחקים, כי יש לי מחר טורניר, די מוקדם, הצחקו מוקדם. אז נראה איך יזרום, נראה מה נעשה. וואלה, הייתי בפרק מולם באייסבוקס נגד קומפ אחר מה שהם שיחקו מקודם. וכן, גם משחקים מטורף. וואי, ספליט מעניין אותי באמת. אין על ה-CS, שלב, אין על ה-CS. אוקיי, GG, 2-0. GG 2-0. למה אין להם ג'ט? למה סקרים על סקאי? איזה טורניר יש לך מחר? יש איזה טורניר בצ'אלנג'ר. טורניר לא כזה גדול. אבל זה סוג של אימון, אז זה סבבה. ואנחנו באים לנצח, אחי.
Also, like Link moving away from like the Sentinel
גם לוולורנט.
is really interesting.
כאילו, מה זה הקומפ הזה של ליקוויד?
This is a good move for Gambit. I like the fact that they still have Shados being able to like play on the sky because he was so good at it, and I think with such a big map,
ליקוויד זה קבוצה שמנסה לשחק בלי דואליסטים, אבל זה שחקנים שצריך דואליסטים, צריך ג'ט, חייב ג'ט, סקרים, לא יכול לשחק סקאי, נקודה. למה שיעשה סופורט?
And I don't think on the same matter we should not consider Chamber a full sentinel or maybe KO a full initiator. So in this regard, they may be playing without a proper or at least
הוא לא משחק בלייבים שלו פעם אחת סקאי, פעם אחת דמות שהיא לא ריינה או ג'ט, כאילו.
This could be a meta defining moment. Let's toss this over to Mitch and Tom and get into game.
Thank you so much, Yinsu. Well, Tom, it looks like we're finally ready to roll with map number 2 of Breeze, and I am...
Agent Select is coming.
Let's say, I've heard, in a minute now, any time now.
אוי, האמת נראה קומפ מעניין, יניב.
For a number of reasons. Obviously, it's well anticipated at this point. There's been a build-up, but in particular...
נגד ויטליטי, אני חושב שלא באנו מוכנים מספיק, וגם הפרקצ'ור הזה די עשה לנו בעיות, כי לא שחקנו פרקצ'ור בכלל, במפה הראשונה הייתה פרקצ'ור. לדעתי אם נשתפר אנחנו יכולים לנצח אותם, כי לא הרגשנו שהם באמת כמה רמות מעלינו, משהו פשוט הרגשנו שלא באנו מוכנים מספיק.
Looking at Scream on Sky, that's probably one of the most interesting. That's the last thing I expected to see today, because although it is a quasi-duelist, you can be aggressive.
הם מקבלים כסף, הכל מיליון ישבה לך, אחי. מה זה? יו, איזה קומפ גרוע, אני לא יכול להסתכל על זה. ביי לצאת מהלייב. ביי לצאת מהמשחק.
I think the favorite agent I've had of him on this map was actually Reyna, when he was just obliterating teams just by being incredibly aggressive. So I'm curious to see how this works, because I've watched FBX try zero duelist comps many times.
כן, אשכרה, כן, אלא. המשחק, אתה מרגיש שזה התפספס, אתה מרגיש שיכולת לנצח, אבל לא באת מוכן. אפקט הפתעה, אני לא חושב. כאילו... סקרים על סקאי? הוא בכלל שיחק סקאי מתישהו בחיים שלו?
First for us, and as you can see here, the plant's already come down. Gambit with a typical B take. They pop down their wall. They go over to the site. Now they've got a nice, comfortable post plant. And the problem here really,
כאילו תעיף את סקרים מסקאי, שים אותו ג'ט.
When they come back in particular, those flashes can do a lot for getting them through the Viper walls.
Yeah, they've set up for the retake, a full retake strategy, and there's still a flank coming in as well that could just catch that late luck.
יש לך פלאשים של קאיו, יש לך סובה, יש לך וייפר, יש לך צ'אמבר, חסר לך פה ג'ט, כאילו. רק ג'ט. אחלה ראונד פיסטול, אבל אני לא רואה פה עתיד.
On that pistol retake, sure a plant goes down, sure they lose a couple of kills, but all in all,
ג'ייקוב שלום, לא ראיתי.
In particular, having a nice time on the cleanup. Obviously, we know he's pretty happy with pistols in general, with how he debuted his Valorant career, and the 1-0 here on Breeze, exactly what you wanted. Now, I believe this is Liquid's map pick, obviously, but it's not.
כן, זה קומפ די רגיל, כן, פשוט שהם עשו ממש הרבה, הם עשו שינויים כאילו, זה מה שמעניין, הם עשו הרבה שינויים. לא נראה לי אבל שהם ירוצו עם זה, למרות שבעצם האמת, יודע מה? אני חושב שהם כן ירוצו עם זה, זה נראה טוב, אני לא אשקר, נראה ממש טוב.
They've got their new comp, they've clearly done their research, and maybe this was a map as well they didn't expect Gambit to change, because that's the thing, if you're good at a map, if it's one that you've been winning convincingly over the best teams in the world, well, probably don't want to adapt it too much, and in reality they haven't. They've just switched up what Chronicle is playing.
And let's be very realistic, you know, when people, I'm sure it's an easy thing to do to look at Breeze and go, oh, 80% win rate, so they're pretty...
Overthinking, לא נראה לי, כאילו, לא יודע, אני לא חושב.
They were losing this map, it had only just come out. They were getting very much getting used to it. They were playing against some teams that they weren't.
כאילו, בדיפנד עכשיו, ליקוויד צריכים להביא לפחות 7 או 8 ראונדים. אם ליקוויד לא מביאים פה 7 או 8 ראונדים, הם עשו את המשחק הזה.
Fighting out to the side as well, they'll have a really strong split with players still inside cave and mid.
כי מבחינת אקסקיוט, האקסקיוט שלהם לא הולך להיות כזה חזק. אין להם מי שיקח את הספייס, אין להם את זה.
Link as well, switching up agents for the umpteenth time because it just seems to be his role within this team. Chronicle though.
השאלה אם סקרים הולך לשחק כאילו ריינה. קיבלו את ריפטי. יאללה אייס כרוניקל, אייס. היי לטורונטו, שבת שלום חבר. רק דיברת הוא עושה אייס.
And I don't even necessarily want to put it down to Chronicle having...
תביא לו את האייס, נס, תביא לו את האייס.
I think with his sheriff in hand he does a very similar job.
אייס.
And he'll have the headhunter here, he'll have ace, and ace as well. I mean, he has an operator for round 3 at 0 investment.
קיבלו את ריפטי.
Said he needs to deliver. I think he's done an alright job of that.
כרוניקל שחקן מדהים, מדהים. ואני לא מבין למה אנחנו לא רואים אותו על ג'ט במקום דפו, לדעתי.
Love the coach. Oh god, it's short-lived for Liquid, and of course, like again, there's been some changes on this map that I feel like give more opportunities to the defensive side. But what we saw from the open qualifiers, a lot of it was still quite attack-sided, which is fine. I like the fact that there's more options, but I don't necessarily think it needs to change the whole dynamic of the map. I think it being balanced, I don't really like if every map is balanced. It makes the pool quite boring. So. I'm still expecting Gambit to come out with the main portion of the rounds in this first half. But at the same time, Liquid's defense previously was very aggressive. As I said, they used to have Scream on Arena. Like, he used to just go fighting, fist fighting anybody who was in his way. So I'm interested to see how, if they're still going to have that same sort of dynamic, or if they're going to opt now to play off of information, because they are a triple initiator right now, which that's not common at all.
Oh, we've ended up with an opening onto Yampy, a mid-control attempt from Team Liquid, not yielding any results just yet.
האמת שאני שחקתי מולו בפראג שקרוניקל כן היה ג'ט, הוא שיחק אותה ממש טוב. כאילו, זה היה נראה כאילו הוא מרגיש ממש בנוח עליה.
You gotta go for those ratty setups. As you've seen, the heads-up duels don't quite work out, and I don't think that's what Liquid were looking for at all. I think they were just trying to poke down mid. Get themselves the control, maybe early flank for a B crunch or early A flank, but I don't find anything. Very patient. They posture up, wait for some sort of aggression, wait for some duels, and eventually they say, let's just go away.
Yeah, got an incredibly deep screen as well, so any battles that can be taken at range are just not going to really play that much of a factor.
Gambit פשוט הרבה יותר טובים מכל בחינה, אם זה מבחינה מנטלית, אם זה מבחינה... גם מבחינה מכנית, כאילו.
Swing a little bit further. Bear in mind, he already has his ult online, so him getting kills at this point is almost just a flex.
Farming up, even when the supplies are full, he'll keep on going. Chronicle will close this one out nicely with the Spectre in hand, 2-1. These kind of rounds, not ones.
משחק קבוצות טובות, אבל אני מהקבוצות שאתה מכיר, שזה נגיד פנאטי, גמביט וכאלה, 13-11 לרוב.
In the hands of Yumpy, I'm super excited to see this because this is a guy that I know for getting
ברית הבא של עתק, לדעתי.
in the early round and dashing out. Now it's not as easy to escape. Obviously, he has to pre-plan it by placing down his anchor.
לייב צ'אמבר ורזידנט ג'ט, האמת שרזידנט עושה סופורט עם בריץ' אחד מהטובים שיצא לי לראות, באמת. ולייב שם כדי לקבל את הסופורט הזה זה שילוב מפחיד. מפחיד. כאילו הבריץ' של רזידנט אני ממש אוהב אותו.
We're going to see in a very aggressive position from him though. Just waiting around the corner, the pot flash will
fucking finance לא עדיין לא.
fade away just yet, maybe hoping that Scream can give him an angle. That's something I never thought I'd see. Scream's the one throwing the supportive flashes for Yumpy to try and get him.
זה יכול להיות כמו בריז או משהו, זה יכול להיות מעניין, כן. וואלה יניב, זה יכול להיות מאוד מעניין.
It's reminiscent of his breach play back in the day though. This is a player that very early on showed us in Valorant he has no ego. He didn't come into this game going I am the jet. I will kill everyone. That's what I do.
אבל האמת שאם לייב הולך צ'אמבר ורזידנט הולך צ'אט, אז כאילו פונק צריך את ההתאמה שלו, כי תלוי שאלה מה הוא יהיה לשחק נגיד. כאילו זה לרוב הסנטינל. אז זה שהוא ישחק איזה קאי או איזה סקאי. זה טיפה שינוי ברולים, השאלה אם הם מרגישים בנוח עם דבר כזה. אבל זה יכול להיות מעניין יניב. יכול להיות מעניין.
Taking space here, though, might actually be a little bit difficult. They've managed to smoke off the angle, and well, Defo's just going to go running. Scream with the instant headshot. No surprises there, but there's a lot of targets still to find, and he's going to be able to get a second, at least making this one close, and Link just goes swinging through. Trying to maybe waste some time, allow for the
שכפה שניצחו את גמביט, כן. דיבד היה נגד פיינלס וניצחו אותם, כן. ראיתי את זה גם. איך עובד לקטע של הפרקים? זה אתר כזה שיש קבוצות מסוימות. אם זה קבוצה עם... שזה פרקים של יותר כמו השמות שאתה מכיר, אם זה שחקנים טיפה פחות טובים. זה לפי טירים גם הולך, טיר 1, טיר 2, טיר 3. ואתה קובע נגיד, רושם שעה שאתה יכול, מפה שאתה רוצה, ואנשים עושים בקשה או ההפך.
Round gone, we get into a very scrappy situation because Gambit are going to be buying up fully. They're going to be investing.
פיינלס ניצחו את גמביט הישנים, כן, זה גם נכון. גמביט עשו ממש שינוי מאוד. למרות שכאילו, מה זה ישנים? פיינלס ניצחו את גמביט אחרי שניצחו את ה-VCT, אם אני לא טועה.
Whichever team loses this round falls behind because their economy will be in the dumpster.
It is very funny seeing Defo buy up an operator and then have to sell it because Chronicle's like, well, you know, I have to use mine. So sorry, no operator for you. I like the fact that we've again seen that.
וואלה, יניב, זה יכול להיות מעניין הקומפ הזה שאמרנו פה. יכול להיות מעניין. זה היה לפני, אני חושב, לא, אני חושב שזה היה ממש כאילו טורניר אחד אחרי. אבל כן, גם בלי השתנו מאז.
That's so important because if he gets killed early, this round completely falls apart.
The operator of Yumpy, we talked about his early aggression, and there you go. The opening duel will be his, and it's Defo that's taking.
לדעתי אסן דבר, הסיבה היחידה שיכולים לנצח זה כי הם פשוט הרבה יותר טובים מכנית מכולם, באמת.
Still though. Gambit have.
באותה תקופה לפני, סבבה.
If they wanted, and that's.
גם זה היה מראה זכותם. זה נצח את גמביט באופיש של 2-0, לא שזה היה, כן, לא זה היה 2-1.
I guess it's just the time. Again, we're down to the 30-second mark, so now knowing that they're still wrapped into mid, they haven't really got control elsewhere.
אבל יניב, אתה חייב בקומפ כזה, אתה חייב פלאשים. ואיך הפלאשים? אז במקום סייפר, כדאי אני לא יכול לשחק סייפר עם צ'אמבר על לייב, אז דני יצטרך לשחק משהו כמו סקאי, כמו קאיו. זיק, סטרקסטור, כולם שם טובים באסד. כולם טובים. אתה לא יכול לשחק שתי סנטינל ובלי פלאשים, זה יהיה טיפה די קשה כאילו. אתה רואה גם פה, סקאי זה דמות שהיא סוג של חובה במפה הזאת. אתה יכול לעשות קומפ כמו של גמביט, ופשוט השאלה אם יהיה לפונק נוח לשחק בדמות שהיא כמו סקאי או דבר כזה.
But it still allows them to sort of get a buy together with that saved rifle. And
כן, בול, זה נבע, בול.
boosting your economy, I guess, on that attack side. Oh, that's an aggressive play by Scream.
Yeah, who was saying that it's not going to be played as a duelist? That looked like a duelist to me. This is so aggressive. Fight in from Gambit. They found
איזה execute, אבל.
Trading things out effectively.
איזה execute.
How is everyone already dead? The round's only been going for about 30 seconds, but my whole team is gone. Oh, this angle is...
תים לו נייף, קרוניקל, תהיה גבר. תהיה גבר. איזה חלש אתה. נשבע שתדוקר אותו.
He's had an ace and a 4K in 6 rounds.
Yeah, that's pretty unbelievable. I mean, saving over that operator, it goes straight into the hands of Defo. Gambit are situated very, very nicely indeed. And you say what you will about that previous round. I think... for Chronicle to show up the way he is, 11-3. Morale's got to be sky high right now. And Team Liquid won the pistol, remember? Like, they had technically...
זה הסירים, הסקאי מאז שליקוויד השתבשו.
And now they're neck and neck with Gambit having a win in their sales.
Yeah, luckily for Yumpy also now has that economy boost. We can see the early Tiger. It will at least spot the close players. So they're going to be forced back into the site. And in fact... we actually had the Hunter's Fury pop through from Link. Catch them as they go forward, but I don't think that connected onto anyone.
No, it's fired out. No targets to be found by it on the other side. It looks like Seekers are going to go through on the A side, and there's a rotation coming in already from Team Liquid. They've read this play entirely. The shock dart snake bite combo that eliminates Shados on the way through the choke point. Nats though is able to at least recover something. The Viper's pit going down to try and retrieve.
כן, אבל זה חלק מהמשחק, אתה צריך להבין, זה חלק מהטרשטוק, מכל הכיף, לא יודע, זה מוסיף פלפל קצת, זה סבבה, אני אוהב את זה. נגיד תראה את סימפל ב-CSGO, הוא מחפש את הדברים האלה, הוא מחפש את זה כל היום.
Yeah, Soulcast having a big round in terms... Oh, sorry, Link having a big round in terms of denial. I'm not going to get used to...
כן, אבל... הבעיה שצ'אמבר זה דמות של אוואפ. ויאמפי הוא אוואפר. מאז זה גם ב-CS הוא היה אוואפר. אז דמות שהוא מרגיש בטח בנוח. בטח הוא רצו לעשות לו את זה. על הפנים, לא יודע, אני לא אוהב איך לשחקים. כאילו מה, 3 שיני שייטוס. סובה קריובת. מה זה בושה. זה לא מראה זלזול כי זה יכול לקרות, זה חלק מהמשחק הנייף, זה לא שרצת אליו בפרצוף ושמת לו הסכין. אם אתה מאחורה, תתקור, ברור.
And we saw earlier heavy rotates to that A site. This time though, much more aggressive Viper wall coming down. We saw it before when you have the shock dart snake.
הייתי פשוט לקום כמו שהוא, פשוט משנה את סקרים. שם אותו על דמות שחקרת את הדואלים, את ה-1v1ים, שיכולה לקחת את הספייס. ג'ט, פשוט ג'ט. אם יאמפי משחק אוואפר, למה שהם ישחקו בלי דואליסט? לא הבנתי. למה לי משחקים לדואליסט? כי נראה לי יש להם שם תקלות בקואוץ'. מאיפה אני מהקריות אחי? שבת שלום לי הרב חיקר. צריך להבין בלייז שאם זה מוריד להם את הביטחון נגיד אז זה משחק לטובתך. זה משחק הרבה לטובתך.
10 seconds left.
יש לו את זה? לשחק בדואליסט לפעמים כן טוב אם אתם לא מסתמכים על המכניות שלכם, אבל במשחק כמו ליקוויד, סקרים זה שחקן שהוא כאילו כולם מחפשים אותו, כולם רוצים לראות אותו כי יודעים מה הוא שווה ויודעים באמת מה יש לו ביד. פתאום לשים אותו על סקאי זה מבוזבז. מבוזבז. תחשבו על ג'ט בכל המצבים האלה. תחשבו על ג'ט. אם משחק ג'ט מזעזע, עוד ג'ט או ריינה, בתכלס ג'ט. וג'ט הוא לא משחק מזעזע, הוא יודע לראות. זה מספיק טוב.
The teams have had months to prepare for this, and it's a pick of Liquid. So I don't want to take anything away from them. But versus Ascend, 10 rounds on the defense. versus Crew.
אחד המאמנים הטובים ביותר שיש, אבל זה לא פעם ראשונה שהם עושים טעויות. נגיד בטורניר הראשון של ליקוויד, מי שזוכר, ראינו את סקרים על סייג'. רק סייג'. ואז טורניר אחרי זה, פתאום סקרים בריינה וג'ט. כי הם הבינו שהיה פה טעות. למרות שסייג' זה גם דמות שהיא איימרית בתכלס, כן? זה איים. לא יותר מדי סופורט. אבל עדיין.
I'm telling you not to underestimate Gambit, but at the same time, Liquid are doing a good job on this defense.
Well, this is the map that they chose. Look, starting out on the defensive side for a lot of teams is on a map that...
לא, סייג' זה גם דמות שאם מישהו משחק אותה ממש טוב, אז זה דמות שהיא ממש מטורפת. במיוחד בעדכונים הישנים, שהיה צריך בשביל זה. היה צריך 6 אורבים בשביל אולטי, זה היה מטורף. אני מסכים עם זה, אבל אתה וזיגי מכירים, כן, זיגי אחלה. זיגי אחלה קר.
rotating through the spawn. Liquid have done well in their retakes so far.
בקיצור, אז זה היה יכול להיות ממש טוב, כי אם סקרימה משיג קילים, אז יש הרבה רזים, פארם לאורבים, אבל הוא בזבוז על הדמויות האלה. הוא לא בדק את הוול, נשבע.
Snake by Basulkas already ahead of it. Going to clear out the left corner. A lot less angles to worry about now. But moving into the site still might not be easy if they don't clear shade off. He's going to be able to get the jump on them and completely ruin this retake for a moment. Put a crack in it. But they managed to recover it. Just sheer numbers and better weaponry that gives Team Liquid this round.
הם צריכים עוד 2 ראונדים לפחות. לפחות, גם ליקוויד.
It's a weird one, really, because in most cases when a single ultimate is used, you're like, oh, well, yeah, they probably shouldn't have lost too many players. When it's a free operator, you're almost sat there going like, well, I guess you can kind of give them a little bit of slack. That's the weird thing with teams that currently have like a chamber jet.
אם הוא משיג אותו,
there can be rounds that are technically ecos that I don't think we can even really consider ecos anymore because they have two.
הם חייבים פה עוד 2 ראונדים ליקוויד, חייבים לפחות.
It's a weird one to be in.
6-6 לא טוב להם.
They don't lose too many players there. They make the retake work in a 4 versus 4, and now, well, buy back in for Gambit.
פונקט יכול להיות שם מטורף, וואלה כן, אני חושב שכן.
The strict damage that they should have received, right? It's just that this is the benefit of Gambit coming in with this comp, having your jet, having chronic.
טוב, על שריף, פחות מסתכלים על השריף, אתם מסתכלים על האבא, על ה-16 סנטינל. 13-8 אותי אתה אומר, בוא נראה. פונקט אבל לא האופר, אני גם חושב שהוא לא האופר.
And Gambit looked like a fresh-faced team on that one. Team Liquid had no time to even figure out what was going on. And this is kind of where it comes into me saying they're going to be upset losing those rifles. Look at the money.
Yeah. Obviously, you're not a football fan, so this will mean nothing to you. But there was a point where people used like a squid to predict football matches. It would like swim into or maybe it was an octopus, I think. It would swim into who they thought was going to win. I feel like that's what you have to do with Gambit rounds, because they went from like losing retakes, like not really being able to get into the site, to winning a flawless round. And I don't really think anything changed. Just Nats walked into the site and then Chronicle did it a few seconds later. Like it doesn't make sense.
This is going to be tough for Nevera.
הם הולכים עליו מהר ומת. טוב.
I don't know. He shouldn't have gotten away with that. Well played. And maybe a chance for Team Liquid if they can pick up another kill. In fact, with this plant going down, I see shock darts. Nats is already half HP.
נגיד, ב-CS יש הרבה פעמים דאבל ארפ סטאפ, אבל בוולורנט אני לא רואה את זה קורה. כי בוולורנט יש לך אביליטיז, אנשים יכולים לעוף עליך. יש מלא בלאגן. ב-CS הדאבל ארפ סטאפ יכול לבוא כן טוב. בוולורנט אני לא רואה דאבל ארפ סטאפ הולך טוב. כי פיקים לא באים בחינם. אתה לא מקבל את הפיקים בחינם. באש יש לך דאבל ארפ, פשוט ירוצו עליך כמו משוגעים. כמו משוגעים. מה פספסתי פה? איזה בסה. 7-4.
Well, that's something that I guess normally I would say you can't really count on, but it is Scream at the end of the day. 7 rounds acquired.
כן, כל מי שכאן ועוד לא שם לייק, שימו סאב, אוהב אתכם המון. זה מאוד מאוד עוזר לסטרים. בואי ננסה להגיע ל-150 לייקים, צ'אט.
Oh yeah, because it would have been 6-6. I confused myself. I was like,
יאני, מתי משחק הבא של פיינסט, דרך אגב?
How could that happen? It's like, have I just gotten math that wrong? But yeah, they could have easily tied up at the halftime, and that puts Gambit in a spot where, you know, considering what we've already discussed about the defensive side, they're likely to close out the series. But now 5 being the max. We've seen Team Liquid bounce back. They can win this round right now. I'm feeling a lot more confident about their next half. But Gambit have gone for a very aggressive strategy, and you can see that pace was not
expected.
Well, yeah, this is, I guess, the problem of not having such a dedicated mid-hold, is that sometimes a team can just...
7-5 זה על הקסקס.
But Gambit will.
Yeah, Gambit normally wouldn't as well, being that slow defaulty team. Good shot with Nats fall.
אוקיי, רגע, 8-4 אולי?
3 versus 3. Team Liquid have just been granted a miracle. But the numbers won't stay even for long. And look at this aggression out of Shados. Okay, maybe Sky is a duelist. I might just... 7-5 time. Gambit's attack already clocked up a pretty...
אני לא מזכיר שפה אני אשדר בצדק, הוא נגדם, כאילו. צריך שיש שדרן ניטרלי. איזי גט, תודה רבה לעשות לחקר, ברוך הבא, שבת שלום.
Where we should do, in essence. Like, Gambit's attack on this map was never particularly good, and their defense was. Liquid always had pretty good defenses, but again, I feel like they've played it in a completely different way. Like, the way they used to play was a lot more aggressive, taking map control away, almost fighting them on the front. This time they played purely off information. And okay, I feel like there were a couple of rounds where it bit them. That last one in particular being one of them, where they just didn't know that they'd gone that far. It also meant that a lot of these rounds from Gambit, they ended up having to take some pretty...
every
single time. So I don't mind the composition from Liquid. I'm interested to see how it works now going into the attack.
Yeah, I think that's really where the questions start to arise. And Team Liquid are going to have a quick attack here in the pistol. In terms of splitting up through mid, they're already coming into the B site.
אבל איזה פוקסי ב10? יש את סנסי ומיזון. אני מעשן לו.
Players pushing from behind. Shados gets blinded. Inside of mid, though, you still got quite a lot of resistance by Nazis. Covering off that cross, making sure they can't get over in the fights from Chronicle with the headhunter in hand. Really nice coverage by Gambit, not overcommitting to going
כאילו הפסקתי לעשן שם.
Honestly, I feel like they got unlucky.
למדס קיבלו אינפו מהאובזרבר, כי האובזרבר לא ידע שרשום באתר, זה היה פה נראה באמת?
Yeah, we've seen both teams play in a similar way on this B side at the moment. It's just like almost having maybe 1-2 dedicated players and then
אתה חושב על סינסי? לא ראיתי אותו כך משחק את סינסי, את סנסי, אבל מהטורנירים האחרונים שהיו להם וראיתי, לא כזה אהבתי עליו. לא כזה אהבתי עליו. נגיד לך מעניין, ראיתי את הסטרים של לבנדובסקי שמישהו שידר מהם, וזה לא היה נראה כאילו יש להם אינפו. זה היה נראה שהם עבודים גם לפעמים.
I think when we talked earlier on about Team Liquid about having Yumpy going aggressive, you certainly saw the limitations to what he could do at times. And I think in the position Defo's in right now, it was very much one of them. A spot Yumpy would love to play him before. Oh, Chronicle, a long-range weapon, takes it up close and then gets himself out with the anchor.
יש לו דארטים טובים, אבל כאילו, סתם דוגמה.
We saw him.
יש מלא ראודים שאני רואה את סינסי מת בלי סיבה, שיש לו אירו, יש לו דרון, יש לו פול יוטיל והוא מת בלי סיבה. אז כאילו אני לא מבין מה הוא עושה, כי סוף את הדמות שלי מאוד חשובה. הם הפסידו גם ראונדים, איקו בגלל דברים כאלה כאילו. הוא עושה מלא שטויות וזה, לא יודע, חוסר כימיה, לא יודע, אולי הוא עוד מבסס את עצמו בקבוצה. מי אתה חושב מה צריכים מבחן לקבוצה? אבל יש הרבה שחקנים אחי. כולנו קודם כל, בוא נתחיל עם מרקורי.
Only losing Chronicle and well his weapons pretty much free.
Yeah, it's a few hundred, depends how many bullets he bought, but yeah, exactly. It really isn't that much of a detriment whatsoever, and I'd be interested to see what he goes for in this round. Is he just going to stick with the pistol?
שחקנים מאוד טובים, כי לבנדובסקי לא כאלה, כאילו הם לא כאלה טובים היום, הם גם די מיקס. הם לא אמורים להגיע למצב שהם נצחים את פאנס מפה אחת אפילו. זה לא היה אמור לקרות. הם לא קיבלו אינפו, זה גם אני חושב, אבל בעיה שפשוט טיפה הלך להם. פאנס נכנסו, לא נראה לי אחי, פשוט זה רוסטר חדש, די חדש כאילו. הם יבנו את עצמם, חכה. אתה לא יכול לצפות שיש שינויים ושהם יהיו הכי טובים בעולם. כדורגל, כדורסל, כדורגל. קל, מה יש לך?
Yeah, I feel like that was a little bit of cover coming around. He got a bit lucky to escape in the first place and then Yumpy just denied it. Of course, this is a bonus round for Gambit. Sure, there's a rifle on board in the form of a Guardian for Redgar, which might be a nasty surprise. In fact, it is. An easy kill onto Yumpy there, and now they're going to try and clear some of these closer angles, but the information's been given over to the other side.
Redgar is enough of a problem by himself, and just wait. Oh, is that a shock dart going straight down? I think a little bit of damage dealt. Redgar still dodging all kinds of utility.
פיינקס אתם יכולים להגיע לרמות הגבוהות, פיינקס כבר הגיעו לרמות הגבוהות לדעתי, וכן, הם יכולים לעלות יותר.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you're removing 3 weapons in a round where you basically just had yourself a Guardian and SMG, so that's absolutely fine. And now Gambit are going to come back in with a purchase of their own. Ultimate, Chronicle pretty close on his, and on the other side, you've got one coming through, but it's something like
ולקבוצה ויש לו כמעט לא מתקשר. וואלה, הוא היה חולה קורונה, אז אי אפשר להאשים אותו קודם כל. ולמרות זה, לדעתי הוא שחק ממש טוב. שחק ממש טוב. יורו אחרי הבאף, חלום שלי מורטי, שיחה אני משחק עם יורו.
In certain situations, but it's not something that's going to save a round all by itself and be the turning point. Shados is picking up the opening here, still powerless, unable to pop any of these flashes, and so
צריכים לשנות כי לראות תוצאות הרבה יותר טובות. קודם כל הם שינו מאמן, אז בואו נראה איך זה ילך, דבר ראשון. דבר שני, לדעתי הם צריכים לעבוד יותר עם סנסי, כי אני ראיתי פשוט את הבעיות, לא יודע, אני ראיתי כאילו, לא יודע, כשאני הסתכלתי עליהם זה נראה כאילו הוא עושה מלא שטויות, ופשוט לעבוד ביחד, כימיה שלהם ביחד. אני חושב שהם הצליחו, ובתכלס שיעור פשוט רעבים לזה. תראה כמה ביחס תחרותי, אין לי מושג אחרי. פחות סולוס פליי, אמת. עכשיו שהוא ייכנס למטה, לא, יורו לא ייכנס למטה.
Ultimate gone, but there's a couple more coming online. The problem is the financial position that Team Liquid find themselves in. You lose 3 players in the previous round, you almost have to take this one as a bit of a hit, other than Soulcast, who had a few extra credits.
Well, Yumpy's going to be trying to get some damage done with that operator in hand.
יאללה לפתח חושב, אין לי מושג אחי, לא כך יודע, ובכל מקרה, יותר להיכנס לפרצה של בן אדם.
That's where the operator is going to be.
לא נעים להיכנס לכיס של מישהו אחר.
I expect this to be a pretty slow round from Liquid. I mean, really, this is where you just let Yumpy run wild and try to have his own round.
Yeah, see if he can take things into his own hands.
אם היית נום איזה ישראלי אתה לוקח? קודם כל אם הייתי נום בתור התחלה הייתי עושה את הקבוצה עם רוב ישראלי. אם אתם קוראים לעצמכם קבוצה ישראלית אתם לא יכולים שיש שם ישראלי אחד ו4 אירופאים, זה משהו שלא יכול להיות. אין בעיה שיהיה אירופאי 2, אבל שהרוב יהיה ישראלי כמו בפיינס לדוגמה. 3 ישראלים לפחות בקבוצה ישראלית זה מאסט לדעתי. לגבי איזה ישראלית היא לוקח? לא יודע אחי, זה כבר החלטות שלהם האמת. יש מוד שאנחנו חושבים את הרוסטר? בוא נראה. מעניין.
Ultimate trading out Yumpy and leaving Scream in a bad situation. I think he might have just eaten that snake bite. That's going to be a 9 for Gambit secured. Still, look at the threat posed in that.
אם לדעתך שחקנים חטובים בארץ תוקו בפיינס טונום, אני אגיד לך את האמת, קודם כל, אני לא אדרג לפי מקומות, ראשון שני שלישי רביעי, אני שתגיד לך שמות שלדעתי. וואי, לא לי שמות האמת, רגע, כן שנייה, סיבכת אותי עכשיו. את עצמי אני לא מדרג בחיים, ככה שזה לא... דעתי אנדד, רב וספלינטר, ריזן, מרקור אחרי הקבוצה כאילו. והאמת שיש עוד מלא שחקנים טובים, אבל יש מלא פוטנציאלים בישראל, הבעיה שלא הם ממשים את זה ולא מנסים לעשות עם זה משהו הלאה, אז די קשה.
I think he could TP from where he was, but yeah, he's going to step right back on into it. Defo's holding control up above.
בכל מקרה יש פה שחקנים מעולים בארץ לדעתי, שאם הם באמת... דיווייד שחקן ענק. נכון יאניב? רב וכישרון גם באמת. דיווייד איימר מטורף.
I like that setup. They have to push through tube, but an escape plan is set. Sure, it didn't go exactly
as planned,
but it gives them a man advantage, and now they can get the heals back in onto Defo as well. That's definitely a worthwhile trade for Gambit, and a cool little idea to give them some space in the round. There is 40 seconds left mid, and they haven't left bottom mid they're going to have to use their seekers to just try and find out if anybody else is still aggressive from Gambit.
This is going to give an opportunity actually revealing
towards the elbow. וואי, סקרין עושה פייק ליין, נשבע, אבל יש לו את הבי מיין. והבי מיין זה נקודה חזקה. וואו, נאץ במקום טוב. נאץ במקום חשמל. אחד, באמת. נאץ שחקן. נאץ שחקן.
And Liquid have got to be kicking themselves. They isolated the player on B. They tried to deal with him even with the numbers on their side.
השחקן הכי טוב מכנית כרגע, מה זאת אומרת בארץ?
They're not able to take down Nats.
Oh, that's the worst thing about it. They suppressed him so that all of his utility dissipated, and it just proves that Nats doesn't need any of it. Just reposition, even activates it all just as they finally look to kill him off. And yeah, he has to be one of the most irritating players to play against in the entire world. Like, he is incredibly good at what he does. 10-8.
באמת לא יודע כל כך נט, לא יודע. מבחינה מכנית, זה הבעיה בארץ, מבחינה מכנית יש פה הרבה שחקנים טובים. אבל בשאר הבחינות, וואו. אולי, כן, כנראה. תראה את איפה, אבל. תראה את ימפי, איזה... תשמע.
This stage really for Team Liquid, I'd look at even where their wall is. It's not granting them that easy access to the A side. A lot of hope's going to be dwindling, but power in numbers is how they're going to default to. Oh, well, that's a spike down. Well handled by Chronicle. Yumpy's low HP, so shouldn't be too much of a threat. But he's Yumpy, so...
לא, גם בדוקים 2-0, כן, אני גם חושב, רבה. תראה איזה קום, סקרים משחק סקאי. באיזה עולם זה קורה? תראה את דפו מרביץ להם בכלל.
That's the thing, like, Gambit's defense at the moment is looking far more proactive than what we saw from Liquid. As said, like, Liquid were playing with this composition because they had...
Liquid נראה כאילו הם בדיפנד והם באתר.
Well, the power of Jet and what's always been there is the fact that you can go fact-finding yourself, and Defo's just been pushing and prodding them throughout the entirety of this map. You've got shaders there as well
זה לא תירוץ, אבל... זה לא כזה תירוץ. כן, הפינג זה כן פקטור, אבל זה לא תירוץ. בקומפים הולך לו כי הוא פשוט הרבה טוב מכולם.
I was just seeing in the background there. I'm not sure if because obviously we've got this new hood, beautiful stuff down the bottom. See all the abilities and stuff. I love it. But can't see the round timelines, obviously, which is the one downside. But a timeout here for Team Liquid does seem to make sense. Gambit have strung together a lot of rounds at this stage. They've been in complete control for quite a while now. And Team Liquid, yeah, they're going to take the moment, sit back, talk to Sliggy, and try to figure out this attacking side.
אין בעיה, אתה השחקן בין הטובים בעולם דמות של הדואליסט, אבל הוא השחקן הכי טוב בעולם מכנית. נגיד נאץ בין השחקנים הכי טובים בעולם לדעתי, כרוניקל, כאילו, והם לא שחקים דואליסטים, ויש להם אימפקט ממש ממש טוב, אבל סקרים מכנית, השחקן הכי טוב בעולם ביפר. זה שחקן שחייב ככה דואליסט. הוא ניגש לפייטים בצורה הכי נקייה. איזה וויף, זה פה. הוא ניגש לפייטים בצורה הכי נקייה שיש, הוא יודע איך לגשת לכל פייט ופייט, הוא לא מפספס כדור ראשון, הוא חייב לשחק דואליסט. GG.
Another round on the board for Gambit. You wanted to know the timeline. I believe that's now 5 in a row. Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Ooh, look at this. Okay, we got a fancy other one. Thank you very much, production.
תראה את כרוניקל, 27-12, וואו.
Like, there has been one round for Team Liquid, and other than that, it is...
סקרים 12-16, זה בושה לראות את זה בכלל.
12-8,
בושה.
4 rounds left to go.
0 ראונדים, זה היה די צפוי האמת, אחי. זה היה די צפוי.
But that's what I said before. Like last time we saw them play against Ascend in that grand final. Ascend only managed 2 rounds on their attack.
אמרתי, בדיפנד הם צריכים לפחות 7-8 ראונדים, וגם זה אולי לא יספיק להם, ואולי זה לא יספיק להם.
It is hard playing this side of the map. Shados still lurking within. Did he peek out of that, or did he just headshot him straight through the screen? There's been trades back. Hunter's Fury trying to clear out those backlines, and well, I was about to say looking like an afterplant, but every couple of seconds there's a swing from Gambit that takes off another scout.
הם משחקים גם סקאי, גם קאיו וגם סובה, 3 אינישייטרס. זה מאוד מטומטם לדעתי, לא יודע. תקשיבו לנייד בוטורגרון, שימו לייק, כל מי שעוד לא שם, שימו לייק צ'אט, שימו לייק.
Those ultimates that we spoke about starting out this map, Chronicle and Defo close it out with them. It's 13-8.
כן, גם קאיו, גם סקאי, גם סובה כאילו. תעיף את קאיו או את סקאי, שים שם את ג'ט, מה הבעיה?
Yeah, for sure. And I said it was a bold choice going into what is probably the best map out of Gambit when it came to champions, and Liquid gave it a go. They looked decent on their defensive side, but Gambit just looked unstoppable. So many strong individual plays. Chronicle still looking like, as said, one of, if not the best player in the world at the moment. I'm sure we've still got a Ascend to see, which there'll be plenty of arguments to be had with that one, but that was an impressive display. And in a lot of cases, it was almost a flawless display. Like, there were a lot of rounds where it was almost like they just switched a gear.
Yeah, it really does feel like exactly what we feared coming into today. The desk spoke about it, we spoke about it here.
יש עוד משחק, יש פנאטיק נגד G2 אני יודע, אבל השאלה מתי זה יהיה, זה עוד איזה חצי שעה נראה לי. קצת של מאמן, כן, ממש.
There was really not a lot going for Team Liquid at the end of the day. That's a great start for Gambit. Our grand finalist of champions certainly not cooling down to kick off the season.
כן, משחק הבא עוד חצי שעה.
Honestly though, that's one of their
הלך הכסף איתי.
We talked about these guys over on Gambit. I don't think there's going to be much debate on this, but let's ask the people anyways. Player of the match, guys. Who do you
אבל בכל מקרה צ'אט, וואלה, אני חושב שנסיים פה להיום, כי גם יש לי טורניר לך מוקדם בבוקר, עוד לא אכלתי ארוחת שישי, עוד לא אכלתי כלום. אני רוצה ללכת לישון היום די מוקדם. חבל ככה אתה תהיה תסתכל. כן, וואלה, חבל דרך את ההצעה שלי קווידיו. חד משמעית חבל. חברים, כל מי שכאן ועוד לא שם סאב, שימו סאב, זה מאוד 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 עוזר. אתה תעשה קומפ, לא אחי, אני עכשיו אלך לאכול, יעשה הפסקה קצת מהמחשב אולי. אם אני אעשה קומפ, אני אעלה לייב עוד פעם, מאוחר יותר. בכל מקרה, חברים, קודם כל תודה רבה כל מי שהיה פה היום, שימו סאב, שימו לייק. בואי ננסה להגיע ל2000 סאבים, בואי ננסה להגיע לפה לאיזה טיפה נגדל. אוהב אותך המון צ'אט, שיהיה לכם שבת שלום, סופש נעים ורגוע. אוהב אותך המון, מאמין שיהיה לייב מחר, אם לא היום בערב, מאמין שיהיה לייב גם מחר. אוהב אותך המון צ'אט, שיהיה לכולם שבת טיל וערב טוב. ושימו סאב, יא מחלות, שימו סאב, תפעילו פעמון, יא קשים.